Chapter 4:15. Sixth update. West Wind felt that he was very lucky, as if a pie had fallen from the sky onto him. Of the 6 perfected masters who occupied the other 5 were dead, and he was the only one who survived. Moreover, Yixing let him ride the 4-winged flying snake back to the East Fu sect. Wasn't this a pie from the sky? This kid is young and arrogant. He became a perfected master of the astral realm at such a young age. How dare he look down on my East Fu sect? Humph. My sect master is a perfected master of the 4 stars. How dare you threaten to kill your way into the East Fu sect? You're courting death. West Wind thought to himself as he left on the 4-winged flying snake. A perfected master of the 4 stars was already in the middle stage of the astral realm, and his strength was far beyond that of a perfected master of the East Fu sect. West Wind had full confidence in the sect master of the East Fu sect, Watanabe Xiong. Looking at the 4-winged flying snake in the sky, Hua Tianfeng said, "The end of the East Fu sect has arrived." Hua Tianfeng wasn't worried about Yixing killing his way into the East Fu sect. Hua Tianfeng was the only one who knew the secret of Yixing's astrology, and he knew the limit of Yixing's strength. Yixing was now able to defeat a perfected master of the 3 stars, so when he used the black hole astrology and Sagittarius astrology, his battle strength would be greatly increased, and killing a perfected master of the 4 stars would be a piece of cake. However, Hua Tianfeng's expression was a little puzzled as he continued to speak. If you kill your way into the East Fu sect, won't you catch them off guard? Why did you let West Wind go back to inform Watanabe Xiong? Yixing smiled. I gave him 3 days, which is just enough time to gather the sects in the southern part of the Qingyun region, but not enough time to go to the northern part of the Qingyun region to ask for help. So to be safe, Watanabe Xiong should have invited Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Ghost sect to help. This way I can kill them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng couldn't help but admire Yixing's plan and courage. If he directly destroyed the Dongfu sect, the news would quickly spread. If Yixing went to the Flying Cloud sect, the Divine Wind sect, or the Blood Spectre sect, his enemies would most likely be one step ahead of him. If they escaped from the Qingyun region, no matter how resourceful Yixing was, he wouldn't be able to find them. Therefore, it was best to gather them together and catch them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng said, Flying Cloud sect, Holy Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect all have 3-star venerable masters. 2-star venerable masters and 1-star venerable masters are even more numerous. If they all gather at Dongfu sect, they will have the advantage in numbers. Although you are strong, can you deal with them alone? The corners of Yixing's mouth curled up, and a green light appeared in his eyes. He said, "You want to compete with me in numbers? Aren't you courting death?" Hua Tianfeng understood and laughed happily. Not bad, not bad. I didn't think about that. Haha. On the same day, Yixing set up a new formation on the basis of the previous one. He had a lot of formation materials on him, and the Falling Star Sect's formation foundation was perfect. In just one day, Yixing repaired many level 3 formations. Moreover, when Yixing set up the formations, he integrated the formations he learned from Venerable Qingyun, making them even more powerful. On the 2nd day, Yixing entered the Qingyun Mountains. On the 4th day, Yixing agreed to attack Dongfu sect. Dongfu sect was ready, waiting for Yixing's arrival. In Dongfu sect, there were not only martial artists from Dongfu sect, but also venerable masters from the Flying Sky sect, the Divine Wind sect, and the Blood Spectre sect. Although the Blood Spirit sect's martial practitioners who had gone to Nine Heaven City were slightly slower than Yixing, they had returned 2 days ago with news that Yixing was in Nine Heaven City. The news quickly spread among the southern sections. First place in the Young Heroes competition. Invincible 3-star venerable masters. Destroyed the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City. This news shocked the martial artists of the 4 great sections. As for Venerable Master Wu Yu's public statement of protecting Yixing and the Blood Spectre sect's martial artists didn't know about it, because it happened after the Young Heroes competition. At that time, they were already on their way back to the Qingyun Mountains. Yixing was so powerful that the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect couldn't compete with him. Only the Dongfu sect, who had a venerable 4-star venerable master Watanabe Xiong, could remain calm, but he still felt a lot of pressure. Yixing's growth was so fast that he was already a venerable master at the age of 18. In 2 more years, he would be even more powerful. 2 years later, who could guarantee that a venerable 4-star venerable would still be Yi Xing's opponent? Watanabe Xiong didn't dare to act rashly against Yi Xing. Now that Yi Xing had become powerful, once he made a move, he had to kill Yi Xing completely. He couldn't give Yi Xing a chance to turn things around. Since Yi Xing had agreed to go to the Dongfu sect in 3 days, Watanabe Xiong also set his plan to kill Yi Xing on that day. The Dongfu sect was his territory, so he had the advantage of formations. Of course, killing Yi Xing in the Dongfu sect would give him the greatest advantage. In order to kill Yi Xing in one fell swoop, Watanabe Xiong sent out invitations to the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect. These 3 sects didn't have the strength to fight against Yi Xing, so they naturally agreed to the Dongfu sect's invitation. Moreover, they sent out their strongest team to help the Dongfu sect. The venerable 3-star venerables of the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect all arrived. They were the grand elders of their respective sections. In addition, the sect masters of the 3 sects all arrived, each with 1 venerable 2-star venerable and 3 venerable 1-star venerable. Including the sect masters themselves, each sect sent out 6 venerable ones, 1 venerable 3-star venerable, 2 venerable 2-star venerable, and 3 venerable 1-star venerable. The 3 sects had a total of 18 venerable ones. Including the Dongfu sect's venerable one, there were more than 20 of them. As for the Dongfu sect's Star Vortex Realm martial saints, needless to say, there were more than 1,000 of them. With so many martial saints, venerable ones, and the venerable 4-star venerable Watanabe Xiong, they were naturally confident in dealing with Yi Xing. The experts of the 4 sects were only worried that Yi Xing wouldn't show up, but would hide and cultivate instead of fighting with them. After 2 years, he would come back with a higher cultivation and stronger strength. At that time, even a venerable 4-star venerable wouldn't be able to stop him. Their worry was obviously unnecessary. Since Yi Xing said that he would come to the Dongfu sect 3 days later to kill Watanabe Xiong, then he would definitely come. More than 20 venerable ones gathered in the hall. Watanabe Xiong sat in the main seat. The Flying Cloud sect's Yun Zhankong, the Blood Ghost sect's Mo Yuxi, and the Wind sect's Feng Hang sat below Watanabe Xiong. Below them were the venerable 2-star and venerable 1-star venerable ones. A half-step perfected person rushed into the hall and reported to Watanabe Xiong. Reporting to the faction leader, Yi Xing has been found 300 miles north of our faction. Watanabe Xiong's eyes flashed and he smiled. He really dares to come. The eyes of the venerable ones lit up. They were afraid that Yi Xing wouldn't come. Compared to the excitement of the venerable ones, the half-step venerable one who reported looked a little depressed. Sweat could be seen on his forehead as he continued. Sect Master, although Yi Xing came alone, he brought an endless army of demonic beasts with him. I don't know how many of them there are. According to the sentries in front, they were all high-level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. The smiles of the venerable ones froze on their faces. Watanabe Xiong's eyes widened. What did you say? He brought an army of demonic beasts? The half-step venerable one said. Yes, Sect Master. We lost contact with the sentries 300 miles north. I'm afraid they are already dead. The speed of the demonic beast army is very fast. I'm afraid it won't be long before they reach East Supporting Peak. An army of demonic beasts with an unknown number of level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. What kind of terrifying force was this? The experts of the 4 sects wanted to use their numbers to bully Yi Xing. Now that Yi Xing brought an army of demonic beasts, the 4 sects' advantage was gone. The only advantage they had was Watanabe Xiong, a mid-level venerable one. However, the premise was that there were no mid-level level 3 demonic beasts in Yi Xing's army. Watanabe Xiong stood up from his seat and said, I should have thought of this. He knows the Blue Cloud sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud. He can control demonic beasts. The reason why he set the meeting 3 days later was to free up time to control the demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Watanabe Xiong slammed the table and shouted, I should have gone to Falling Star Sect to kill this kid as soon as I got the news. The venerable ones also stood up. The Flying Cloud Sect Master Yun Zhankong said, How can he have the Blue Cloud Sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud? The rest of the venerable ones were also surprised and had the same question. Among the Dongfu Sect's venerable ones, Shi Fingyi said, He does know the Eye of Clear Cloud. I saw him use it with my own eyes and controlled a venerable one. The venerable ones could accept the fact that demonic beasts were controlled, but the fact that a venerable one was controlled made them feel a chill. Watanabe Xiong waved his hand to suppress the commotion and said, "Everyone, don't panic. It's hard to find mid-rank 3 demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Even if there are rank 3 demonic beasts in this kid's demonic beast army, they should only be early rank 3 demonic beasts. When the time comes, all you have to do is hold back the early rank 3 demonic beasts and I can still kill this kid in the demonic beast army." The Blood Spectre Sect Master Mo Wuxia chuckled and said, "Speaking of eye techniques, although my Blood Spectre Sect's Blood Spectre eye technique is not as good as Blue Cloud Sect's Eye of Clear Cloud, it is still quite effective in controlling demonic beasts. My junior brothers and I are all experts in controlling demonic beasts. Yixing is dreaming if he wants to rely on his demonic beast army to attack us." "That's right. We might not be able to control mid-rank 3 demonic beasts, but we still have some confidence in dealing with early rank 3 demonic beasts. The key to the demonic beast army is the early rank 3 demonic beasts. As long as we can deal with this problem, the rank 2 demonic beast army will be nothing. Everyone can come and go as you please. If the demonic beast army loses its effect, this kid will be like a tiger that has lost its claws and fangs. Killing him will be as easy as flipping your hand." The venerable ones of the Blood Spectre sect spoke one after another. Chapter 4:16. With Watanabe Xiong, a 4-star enlightened master, and a few enlightened masters from the Blood Ghost sect, Yixing's demonic beast army didn't seem that scary anymore. The enlightened masters became arrogant again. Watanabe Xiong ordered, "Activate the sect protecting formation." Then he said to the enlightened masters, "Everyone, let's go to the North Peak and meet this kid's demonic beast army." The sect protecting formation was activated and a light barrier covered the entire east supporting peak. North of the east supporting peak, Watanabe Xiong and the other enlightened masters looked towards the north. Behind them, there were many martial saints from the east supporting sect. They hadn't seen Yixing yet, but they could already feel the ground shaking. It was as if a huge army was rushing towards them. The enlightened masters had strong eyesight and soon found Yixing and the demonic beasts. The first thing they saw were the demonic beasts flying in the sky. They were the vanguard of the demonic beast army, and there were several hundred of them. At the front was a level 3 silver-winged demonic condor. Yixing stood on the back of the silver-winged demonic condor. He had already seen the enlightened masters on the east supporting peak. There were a total of 27 enlightened masters, 1 4-star enlightened master, 3 3-star enlightened masters, 10 2-star enlightened masters, and 13 1-star enlightened masters. Yixing smiled. There were so many enlightened masters. Obviously, the Flying Cloud sect, Blood Ghost sect, and Divine Wind sect had sent reinforcements. Moreover, there were many of them. This was exactly what Yixing wanted. He wanted to kill all the higher-ups of the 4 sects in one fell swoop. Moreover, Yixing saw the enemies who had attacked the Falling Star sect that day. The East Supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect were there. The 2 from the Flying Cloud sect were already killed before Yixing went to the Nine Heaven City. The 2 from the Divine Wind sect were killed by Yixing in the Nine Heaven City. Today, he killed the 2 from the East Supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect to avenge the sect master Lu Tianyuan and the elders. This was only the vengeance between the sect master and the elders. The vengeance of the Falling Star sect was not something that could be settled with just a few enemies. There was only one result for a sect that destroyed the and that was to be destroyed. This was especially true for the East Supporting sect, which had been enemies with the Falling Star sect for generations. The East Supporting sect was the main force that destroyed the Falling Star sect. Countless Falling Star sect martial artists had died at the hands of the East Supporting sect martial artists. Therefore, the Dongfu sect couldn't let any of them go. Today, the Dongfu sect would be completely wiped out. Those who had come to the Dongfu sect were the upper echelons of the other 3 sections. Once these people were taken care of, the other 3 sects would collapse on their own without Yixing needing to do anything. As long as he could get rid of all the people in the Dongfu sect today, all the hatred would be resolved. Very quickly, the several hundred flying beasts arrived at the north of East Rising Peak and stopped in the sky a few miles away. At this moment, the spiritual masters also saw the demonic beast army on the ground at the end of their vision. This was the real demonic beast army. They could not see the end of it. On the silver-winged devil eagle, Yixing shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you washed your dog head clean? I'm here to get it." Yixing and Watanabe Xiong had never met before, but they could tell who was Watanabe Xiong from their positions. His voice was roared out with astral force, and the sound waves were like waves, spreading out in all directions. His voice was like thunder, and all the martial artists in the Dong Fu sect heard it clearly. Watanabe Xiong's face darkened, and he shouted, "Kid, you've just broken through to the astral realm, and yet you're already so arrogant. You're born with a short life, and you won't live past today." "Ha ha ha ha." Yixing laughed, his voice wild and unruly. "Today, I'll lead the demonic beast army to destroy your sect and wash the Dong Fu sect with blood. No one will be left alive, and your Dong Fu sect will be emptied soon. Of course, there's no one in my eyes, only corpses." Today, Yixing only came for revenge. He went on a killing spree and washed Dong Fu with blood. He did not care about reason, nor did he care about grace, nor did he care about benevolence. There were a total of 27 perfected persons on the Dong Fu peak. They were confident before, but now, they felt a little depressed. Regardless of whether Yixing was condescending or arrogant, Yixing's attitude of looking down on them made them feel uncomfortable and depressed. Although Yixing was only one person, his aura was even stronger when facing 27 perfected masters. He was like a towering mountain that pierced through the clouds, making people look up to him. Mo Yuxi, the sect leader of the Blood Spectre sect, and Feng Heng, the sect leader of the Holy Wind sect, had seen Yixing at the 10 sects grand competition. This was their second meeting. Watanabe Xiong, the sect leader of the Dong Fu sect, had met Yixing for the first time. Only Yun Zhankong, the sect leader of the Flying Cloud sect, had seen Yixing's glory at the Spiritual Moon sect and Flying Cloud sect's gathering. He had witnessed Yixing's growth from a 5-star martial saint to a 1-star perfected person. When he was a 5-star martial saint, he had defeated a 7-star martial saint. When he was a 7-star martial saint, he had defeated a 9-star martial saint in the 10 sects grand competition. Now, Yixing was a 1-star perfected person, and it was said that he had defeated a 3-star perfected person in the Young Hero Assembly. Yun Zhankong sighed in his heart. He had to admit that Yixing was a peerless genius, a monstrous genius that he had never heard of. If he could turn back time, he would never have made an enemy of Yixing or the Falling Star sect. However, time could not be turned back. The choice that had been made could not be changed. Therefore, Yun Zhankong only had one thought, and that was that Watanabe Xiong could kill Yixing today. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare for any of the 4 sects. At this time, the demonic beast army on the ground had also approached. The demonic beasts were emitting violent auras, and the perfected persons could see the specific cultivation of the demonic beasts. The silver-winged demonic condor under Yixing's feet was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. Among the hundreds of demonic beasts, there were 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 2-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 1-star perfected person. In the demonic beast army on the ground, there were more 3-star perfected person, and there were more than 10 of them. Among them, there were 2 3-star perfected person, 5 2-star perfected person, and 9 1-star perfected person. There were a total of 23-star demonic beasts. It was 7 fewer than the 27 perfected persons on the east supporting peak. Moreover, there were 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak. The east supporting sect had 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. The Flying Cloud sect and the Holy Wind sect had 1 3-star demonic beast each, and the Blood Spectre sect had 2 3-star demonic beasts, both of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. On the east supporting peak, there were 7 3-star demonic beasts, 5 of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. This was also an extremely powerful force. Although the demonic beast army's numbers far exceeded the martial artists on the east supporting peak, they were at a disadvantage in terms of high-end combat power. The Azure Cloud mountain range was very vast with countless demonic beasts, but 3-star demonic beasts were not easy to find. Yixing was able to control 23-star demonic beasts in 2 days, which was already quite good. As for the 3-star demonic beasts, there was no need for Yixing to control them. Every 3-star demonic beast had their own territory in the depths of the Azure Cloud mountain range, and all the demonic beasts within their territory obeyed their orders. Yi Xing controlled the 3-star demonic beasts, and the 3-star demonic beasts commanded the 3-star demonic beasts. A demonic beast army was naturally formed. The perfected persons did not care about the number of 3-star demonic beasts. They only cared about the 3-star demonic beasts that were equivalent to perfected persons. Seeing that the 3-star demonic beasts brought by Yi Xing could not compare to the perfected persons and 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak, the pressure in the perfected persons' hearts quickly dissipated, and their hearts calmed down. Watanabe Xiong swept his gaze and quickly judged the 3-star demonic beasts' numbers and strength, and a smile appeared on his face. Watanabe Xiong said, "Kid, do you think you can threaten us with this demonic beast army? Ha ha ha. Fellow perfected persons, help me block his 3-star demonic beasts. Watch how I kill this reckless thief in the midst of this demonic beast army." As he spoke, a silver light flashed behind Watanabe Xiong, and a pair of silver wings grew out. It was a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. Seeing this, the perfected persons were even more delighted. Watanabe Xiong actually had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. In that case, even if Yi Xing also had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon, it would be difficult for him to escape Watanabe Xiong's pursuit even if his cultivation was insufficient. In this way, killing Yi Xing was almost a certainty. Good. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong, don't worry and kill Yi Xing. We will deal with the 3-star demonic beasts. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong will definitely make this thief bleed in 5 steps, and kill him in 7 steps. The perfected persons shouted one after another, looking excited. Kill! Watanabe Xiong shouted and flapped the silver wings behind him. Like a flash of light, he instantly passed through the light shield of the formation and charged toward Yi Xing. The rest of the perfected persons also condensed their astral wings and rushed out of the light shield of the formation to kill the 3-star demonic beasts in the demonic beast army, so that Yi Xing could not get help from the demonic beasts. Seeing that all 27 perfected persons had rushed out of the light shield of the formation, Yi Xing was not surprised, but delighted. The corner of his mouth could not help but curl up. Falling Moon Massacre. Watanabe Xiong used the ultimate move of the Moon Vanquishing Saber technique. When this upper-grade spiritual weapon was used, the saber aura extended for hundreds of feet. Like a broken moon, it slashed toward Yi Xing with terrifying force. This saber aura was domineering and indomitable. It would kill even gods and Buddhas in its way. Flame Astrology. Facing a 4-star perfected person, Yi Xing did not dare to underestimate him. He immediately used the Flame Astrology. Wearing the upper-grade spiritual weapon, the Blazing Flame Gloves, he used the Blazing Fist and punched out. Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. A fire dragon and a fire tiger appeared with this punch. The tiger's roar shook the sky and the dragon's roar was ear-piercing. As soon as Yi Xing attacked, he unleashed a strike at his peak state. The power of fire and the power of the star fire seed were all contained in this punch. The flaming fist had a destructive force that collided with the moon vanquishing saber aura. Boom! The explosion shook the sky. Astral currents splashed in all directions. Terrifying airwaves rushed in all directions as if there was a big explosion. A 4-star perfected person was indeed a mid-level perfected person. His strength was extraordinary. Even though the saber was blocked, it was still terrifying as it slashed forward. Yi Xing's peak state attack was enough to defeat a 3-star perfected person. However, in front of Watanabe Xiong, it was weak. Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently and shot backward. Yi Xing was shocked. The black wings appeared on his back and he turned to flee. Haha! Do you think you can escape? Watanabe Xiong laughed. He flapped his silver wings and chased after Yi Xing. Chapter 417. Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was profound, and his astral aura propelled his mid-grade flying spiritual weapon even faster than Yi Xing's. The distance between the two shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye. The rest of the perfected masters were delighted. Yi Xing couldn't escape. As long as Yi Xing was killed, the demonic beast army wouldn't be a threat despite their numbers. The perfected masters would work together to kill a few 3rd-level demonic beasts, and the demonic beast army would be routed. The key to this battle was whether they could kill Yi Xing, so the perfected masters' attention was on Watanabe Xiong and Yi Xing. They didn't attack the 3rd-level demonic beasts fiercely, only delaying them so that they couldn't rescue Yi Xing. Kid, how dare you come to the Dongfu sect with this little ability? You're walking right into a trap. Watanabe Xiong quickly closed in on Yixing, roaring as he slashed down with his upper-grade spiritual weapon. A round of bright moonlight burst out. The pursuit took only a few breaths, but they were already more than 10 miles away from the Dongfu sect. The shock in Yixing's eyes disappeared, replaced by a murderous intent. Whoosh! A ray of black starlight shot out from between Yixing's eyebrows, shooting up into the sky and turning into a huge dark vortex. Boundless darkness suddenly shrouded Watanabe Xiong in all directions, making him shocked. Yixing used the black hole astrology, and at the same time, the wings on his back changed from the black feather wings to the azure cloud wings, doubling his speed. Watanabe Xiong's moonlight blade continued to shoot forward without slowing down, but Yixing easily dodged it. What astrology is this? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed, putting away his blade and assuming a defensive posture. He also used his own astrology, a high-grade metal attribute one. However, Watanabe Xiong's golden astrology was also shrouded in boundless darkness, appearing extremely dim. The black hole astrology was too advanced. Even though Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was 3 levels higher than Yixing's, his astrology couldn't disperse the darkness caused by the black hole astrology. The bright day had suddenly turned into night. It was so dark that one couldn't even see one's own fingers. Anyone who encountered such a situation would be shocked and inevitably lose their head out of fear. The perfected masters in the distance were also shocked. They didn't fall into the world of darkness, but they looked at the black hole astrology above Yixing with shock. A normal astrology was a star, but Yixing's astrology was a dark vortex. The perfected masters had never seen such an astrology before. What was even more shocking was that Yixing had already unleashed his flame astral avatar. At this moment, the flame astral avatar was still in the sky, but it had been pushed to a corner by the dark vortex. This meant that Yixing actually had 2 types of astrological signs. How could one person have 2 astrological signs? The enlightened masters found it hard to believe. What was even more shocking was yet to come. Whoosh! Another beam of starlight flew out from between Yixing's eyebrows and turned into a giant starry bow in the air. Ultimate astrology. Sagittarius astrology. Constellation astrology. Sagittarius astrology. The legendary ultimate astrology. He has 3 astrologues. The perfected masters exclaimed, their voices filled with shock and disbelief. Yixing wasn't Watanabe Xiong's opponent if he didn't use his trump card. Today, Yixing came for revenge, swearing to wipe out the Dongfu sect, so he didn't care about revealing his trump card in front of everyone. They were about to become a pile of corpses anyway, so it didn't matter if they knew Yixing's secret. When Yixing used the Sagittarius astrology, the sky bow appeared in his hand. A purple gold arrow knocked on the bow, aiming at Watanabe Xiong. In the world of darkness, Watanabe Xiong immediately felt a terrifying murderous intent. The aura of death shrouded him, making him feel that his life was no longer in his own hands. This feeling of death was extremely terrifying. Watanabe Xiong's heart tightened, and he shouted, "Kid, what tricks are you playing? If you have the ability, fight me with real swords and spears." As he spoke, Watanabe Xiong's hair stood on end, and he was extremely alert, guarding against his surroundings. The perfected masters looked at Watanabe Xiong in shock. They weren't shrouded in the world of darkness, so they could see that Yixing was only 1,000 meters away from Watanabe Xiong. However, Watanabe Xiong acted as if he didn't know where Yixing was. He was guarding in all directions, not focusing on Yixing's direction. Sect Master Watanabe, Yixing is 27 degrees to your left, about 2,600 steps away from you. Blood Spirit Sect Master Wuxia's eyes were sharp, and he immediately warned Watanabe Xiong. At the same time that Wuxia spoke, Yixing had already shot out his strongest arrow. As the arrow left the bowstring, a dragon's roar sounded, and it turned into a huge azure dragon. It instantly streaked across the void and pounced in front of Watanabe Xiong. The azure dragon arrow technique of the transformative realm contained the power of the Sagittarius constellation, and the power of 3 different realms of heaven and earth. Its power was extremely terrifying. Wuxia's warning made Watanabe Xiong react instantly. With a loud shout, the spiritual weapon treasure sword in his hand shone brightly, and he slashed down in the direction where the arrow came from. Before the sword energy left his body, the azure dragon had already rushed up and collided with him. As a 4-star perfected master, Watanabe Xiong's strength exploded to the limit, and his attack was extremely terrifying. However, the power of the Azure Dragon was even more terrifying. The Azure Dragon waved its claws, and with a crisp sound, the sword energy dissipated, and the spiritual weapon treasure sword was instantly slapped away. Then, Watanabe Xiong's body was engulfed by the Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon instantly rushed over Watanabe Xiong's body, and it turned into a ray of light and shot out from behind him. Puff fresh blood spurted out from Watanabe Xiong's throat, spraying into the sky. Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by an arrow. Watanabe Xiong clutched his neck, and his eyes were filled with horror. This arrow didn't just pierce his throat. A terrifying power exploded in Watanabe Xiong's body, and traveled along his meridians, destroying them one by one. How is this possible? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed in disbelief. He had cultivated to the 4-star perfected master with great difficulty, and became the strongest person in the southern part of the Jianghu region. He had never expected such an ending. The meridians in his body were destroyed, and the astral energy dissipated. The silver wings on his back lost the support of the astral energy, and they shrank and returned to his body. Watanabe Xiong's life was rapidly draining away, and his body fell from the sky. A formidable person of a generation had come to an end. Sect leader. On Dongfu Peak, a large number of Dongfu sect martial artists cried out in surprise. The founder of the Dongfu sect was only a 4-star perfected master, and there hadn't been another 4-star perfected master since the founder. It wasn't until Watanabe Xiong broke the record and reached the same level as the founder. In the Dongfu sect, Watanabe Xiong's prestige was very high. Every Dongfu sect martial artist worshipped Watanabe Xiong, and they believed that the Dongfu sect would rise to glory under his leadership, and surpass every sect in the southern part of the Jianghu region. However, Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by Yi Xing's arrow right in front of them. How could the Dongfu sect martial artists believe this? The perfected masters shuddered. No one had expected Yi Xing to be so powerful that he could kill Watanabe Xiong with one arrow. Yi Xing stared at Watanabe Xiong's falling body and shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you felt death? Soon, everyone in the Dongfu sect will follow in your footsteps. Today, I'll wash the Dongfu sect with blood, and leave no one alive. From now on, there will be no Dongfu sect in this world." The falling Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently, and his heart was filled with endless regret. The strong emotions caused him to die even faster. Run! The perfected masters were scared out of their wits, and they cried out one after another. They no longer had the courage to resist Yi Xing. Even Watanabe Xiong, a 4-star perfected master, was killed by Yi Xing with one arrow. Who would dare to resist Yi Xing? They only wanted to run away. The perfected masters were divided into 2 groups. Most of them rushed to Dongfu Peak, while a small number of them lost confidence in the Dongfu sect's formation and fled in all directions. The Dongfu sect's formation was a level 3 formation. It was effective against beginner perfected masters, but not against mid-level perfected masters. If Yi Xing could kill Watanabe Xiong, it was possible for him to break the Dongfu sect's formation. Since Yi Xing had exposed his trump card in front of them, he would not let any of them escape. He immediately ordered the level 3 demonic beasts to counterattack. All the level 3 demonic beasts went berserk and attacked crazily. The perfected masters had no choice but to block and delay their escape. At this moment, Yi Xing knocked another arrow, and his killing intent shrouded the perfected masters. In an instant, a world of darkness descended and shrouded all the perfected masters. It was so dark that they could not see their own fingers. The perfected masters were horrified. They suddenly understood why Watanabe Xiong could not see Yi Xing. It turned out that Yi Xing had such a trick up his sleeve. Whoosh! Whoosh! The arrows pierced through the sky, and they turned into azure dragons, white tigers, and vermilion birds. With each arrow, a perfected master was killed. There were also perfected masters who were struck by demonic beasts in the world of darkness. In a short span of 10 breaths, more than half of the 26 perfected masters had fallen. 7 were killed by Yi Xing, and 6 were eaten by demonic beasts. Another group of perfected masters identified the direction of Dongfu Peak and fled there with all their might. They barely escaped and passed through the formation's light barrier, escaping back to the Dongfu sect. Yi Xing prioritized the perfected masters who fled to other places. Naturally, only those who fled to Dongfu Peak survived. The 13 perfected masters who fled back to Dongfu Peak were all horrified. They sized each other up, and the shock in their eyes intensified. There was not a single level 3 perfected master among the 13. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left, and the rest were level 1 perfected masters. Most of those who died to demonic beasts were level 1 perfected masters. Those who died to Yi Xing's arrows were either level 2 perfected masters or level 3 perfected masters. They were all killed in one shot. 14 of the 27 perfected masters had fallen, including level 4 perfected masters and level 3 perfected masters. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left. The remaining perfected masters were all terrified, and their hearts were trembling. Yun Zhankong was one of the level 2 perfected masters who was fortunate enough to survive. At this moment, other than fear, there was only endless regret in his heart. Chapter 4:18. He's too scary. What should we do? Zhankong Wuxia. All the 1-star enlightened masters were filled with shock and fear. The 2-star and 3-star enlightened masters of Dongfu sect were all dead. Everyone's eyes were on the remaining 2 enlightened masters, Flying Cloud sect's master Yun Zhankong and Blood Spectre sect's master Mo Yuxi. Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi looked at each other and saw fear and regret in each other's eyes. The two shouted at the same time, "Use the formation and defend with all your might." However, the two flew to the other side of the Dongfu Peak at the same time. They did not believe that the Dongfu sect's formation could stop Yi Xing. They only hoped that the Dongfu sect could delay him for a while they escaped from the other side. Outside the Dongfu sect, under Yi Xing's command, the demonic beast army led by the 3-star spiritual beasts divided into 2. One on the left and one on the right. They followed the Dongfu sect's formation to surround the entire Dongfu Peak. Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi, the 2-star spiritual masters, were Yi Xing's main targets. He spread the azure cloud wings behind him and flew outside the formation's light shield. Even if he flew in a curve, he was one step ahead of Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi to reach the other side of the Dongfu Peak. Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi had just rushed out of the formation's light shield when they saw Yi Xing suddenly appear. In an instant, they fell into a world of darkness. Whoosh! The arrow pierced through the air and the azure dragon roared. The azure dragon arrow style was instantly shot out. Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi screamed at the same time. They did not expect Yi Xing to appear and disappear so mysteriously. They quickly turned and rushed toward the Dongfu Peak. Although the surroundings were shrouded in darkness, they still had a sense of direction. However, the arrow's speed was much faster than their reaction. When the two turned, the azure dragon had already pounced on Mo Yuxi and pierced through his throat. Then, the arrow turned in the air and changed direction. Almost at the same time, it pierced through Yun Zhankong's body. Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi fell from the sky one after another. In the end, the 2-stars enlightened masters both died. Seeing Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi abandon the Dongfu sect and flee, several 1-star enlightened masters also lost confidence in the Dongfu sect's formation. They followed behind the two and fled. However, before they could leave, they saw Yun Zhankong and Mo Yuxi being killed by Yi Xing, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They immediately stopped and didn't dare to take another step forward. Although the Dongfu sect's formation wasn't very reliable, it seemed that whoever got out of the formation first would be the first to die. There was only one path for the martial artists on East Supporting Peak, and that was to use the array to resist Yi Xing and the Demon Beast army. The 3rd-level formation master of the Dongfu sect was still there. He was a 1-star enlightened being. He said loudly, "Don't panic, our sect's formations have been accumulated for 1,000 years. With me controlling the formation, even a 4-star enlightened being might not be able to break in. Help me transfer astral energy, and I'll push the formation's power to the limit. With dozens of 3rd-level formations, it's not impossible to kill this brat." Previously, Watanabe Xiong was there. As a 4-star enlightened being, he alone was more terrifying than the Dongfu sect's dozens of 3rd-level formations. In terms of power, Watanabe Xiong's attack might be on par with the dozens of 3rd-level formations, or even slightly inferior. However, formations were dead. Although they were powerful, they couldn't be moved. On the other hand, Watanabe Xiong could move them at will. Therefore, when he saw that there weren't many third-level beasts in Yixing's demon beast army, Watanabe Xiong led the enlightened beings to fight their way out of the formation. He had them restrain the third-level beasts while he went after Yixing. In the end, he had misjudged Yixing's strength and lost his life. The enlightened beings were also routed and suffered heavy losses. Now, the Dongfu sect's third-level formation master had become the backbone of the sect. Everyone's hopes were placed on him. The one-star enlightened beings gathered behind the third-level formation master and channeled their astral energy to him one by one, giving him an almost inexhaustible supply of astral energy. Although the strength of the third-level formation master's astral energy didn't increase by much, the quantity was no less than that of a 3-star enlightened being. Rise! The third-level formation master shouted as he pressed both hands to the ground. Astral energy swam underground, activating the formations one by one. Outside of East Support Peak, other than the light shield of the formation, there were layers upon layers of other formations. There were sword energy crisscrossing, saber light flashing, flood dragons, lions, tigers, snakes, leopards, eagles, cranes, and other ferocious beasts condensed from formation energy. They were all killing formations. In addition, there were formations of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and other attributes, all linked together. Among them, blazing flames, surging rivers, thousands of trees were like swords, sand and pebbles flew, and golden light illuminated the sky. Dozens of third-level formations were activated one after another. The entire Dongfu Peak was impenetrable. Even a 4-star enlightened being would find it difficult to gain an advantage. However, Yixing only let the demonic beast army surround the mountain, and didn't let them attack. Yixing also distanced himself from the layers of formations outside Dongfu Peak. He was at least a few li away, and didn't approach. Although the formations were activated, they couldn't be moved. If Yixing didn't go forward, no matter how powerful the formations were, they couldn't touch him. In the sky, Yixing's azure cloud wings unfolded behind his back. Black Hole, Sagittarius, and Flame constellation shone in the sky. In his hand, he held the heavenly bow. Wind, fire, and darkness realm, the 3 subtle realm forces of heaven and earth were constantly activated. His aura was still maintained at peak condition. As an archery expert, Yixing didn't need to rush up and engage in close combat with the enemy. He only needed to shoot arrows from afar, and that was his strongest attack. To a formation set up with a formation base, an archery expert was simply the nemesis, and could only take a beating. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu sect wanted to use the formation to counterattack when Yixing led the demonic beast army to attack. But now, not a single demonic beast attacked, and only Yixing was shooting from afar. His face immediately turned ugly. He borrowed the power of several perfected masters to activate dozens of formations. It was like a person who had unleashed his power to the highest level, only to find that the distance between him and his enemy was too far, and his attack range was not enough. Everything was in vain, and all his efforts were in vain. The most important thing was that he couldn't attack the enemy, but the enemy could attack him. Facing Yixing's arrows, Dongfu sect's side could only take a beating for nothing. His arrows definitely can't break my sect's formations. With dozens of formations activated, the power erupting will definitely be able to shatter the arrows. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu sect could only think of this to strengthen his confidence. Yixing pulled back the heavenly bow, but didn't rush to shoot an arrow. At this moment, his superbrain was scanning, and his eyes were looking for flaws in the dozens of formations outside Dongfu Peak. There was no such thing as a perfect formation. As long as Yixing could find the flaws in the formation, he would be able to break the dozens of layers of formations with minimal effort. Time passed by second. Yixing's delay in attacking made the martial artists on Dongfu Peak feel even more oppressed. It was as if there was a rock on their chests, and it was getting heavier by the second. The martial artists were puzzled. What was Yixing doing? The formation masters all frowned as a sliver of surprise flashed through their eyes. They obviously knew that all formations had flaws, and archers possessed far greater insight than regular people. Yixing had drawn his bow instead of shooting. Clearly, he was observing the flaws in the formation. Our sect's formations are layered upon layers, and they're all interconnected. It's impossible for him to find the flaws in the formations, unless he's a level 3 array grandmaster, but that's impossible. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu sect thought to himself. After 30 breaths of time, Yixing's eyes suddenly exploded with a brilliant light. His killing intent intensified several times, and his aura skyrocketed. On the East Fulcrum Peak, the hearts of several array masters inexplicably tightened. They had a bad feeling from Yixing's gaze. It was a gaze of confidence that could see through everything. Did this mean that Yixing had really found the flaws in the formations? The worries of the array masters were quickly verified. At this moment, Yixing finally released the arrow that was already on the bow. Azure Dragon Arrow style, the arrow morphed into an Azure Dragon. A 300-meter-long Azure Dragon traversed several kilometers in the air and slammed into the formations outside Dongfu Peak. Boom! With a loud explosion, the Azure Dragon plunged deep into the formations and rampaged through them. Layer after layer of formations crumbled under the dragon's assault, disappearing into nothingness. The arrow was so fast that by the time the Dongfu sect's third-rank formation master reacted, several layers of formations had already been destroyed by the Azure Dragon arrow style. Kill! The level 3 array master roared. Immediately, more than 10 layers of array formations were activated. Swordlight, Saberlight, Fire Dragon, Water Flood Dragon. All kinds of array formations attacked the Azure Dragon. The simultaneous attack of more than 10 layers of formations was immensely powerful and scattered the Azure Dragon. The arrow's strength was exhausted and sent flying. However, at this moment, Yixing shot out his second arrow. White Tiger Arrow style. The arrow morphed into a 300-meter-long white tiger and traversed several kilometers in the blink of an eye, charging into the layers of formations from another location. Yixing's arrow was imbued with the wind force of the arcane realm, so it was extremely fast. The moment the arrow was shot out, it had already pierced through the layers of formations. A Grade 3 array master would not be able to react quickly enough to block it. By the time the third-rank formation master reacted and activated the remaining formations to destroy the White Tiger arrow style, at least 4 or 5 layers of formations had been forcibly destroyed by the arrow from their weak points. The martial artists on East Boost Peak once again had looks of fright on their faces. The layers of formations didn't seem to be able to withstand Yixing's attack for long. Moreover, Yixing's attack had broken through several layers of formations. The Dongfu sect's third-rank formation master's counterattack had only repelled Yixing's arrow. It hadn't even touched a hair on Yixing's head. Seeing Yixing shatter layer after layer of formations outside Dongfu Peak, the cultivators on Dongfu Peak were terrified out of their wits. Chapter 419. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. White Tiger Arrow Style. Vermilion Bird Arrow Style. Yixing stood in the sky several kilometers away, firing arrow after arrow. Yixing knew the weaknesses of the Dongfu sect's formations and aimed at them with every arrow. The Dongfu sect's formations were connected layer by layer, allowing their power to increase gradually. However, once a formation was destroyed, it would cause a chain reaction. Therefore, every time Yixing shot out an arrow, several layers of formations would be broken one after another. Under Yixing's attack, even if the Dongfu sect had a level 3 formation master controlling the formation, it was futile. They could only take a beating. Seeing the formations outside Dongfu Peak dwindle one after another, the cultivators on the peak grew more and more terrified. Those with weaker mental fortitude even started wailing. Boom! Soon, the last formation was completely destroyed by Yixing's arrows. Dongfu Peak, the heart of the Dongfu sect, was completely defenseless. Roar! With a wave of Yixing's hand, 10,000 beasts roared in unison, their voices shaking the heavens. Under the lead of the third-level beasts, the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak. We surrender. We're willing to join the Fallen Star sect. Spare us, Sir Yi. We surrender. Have mercy, Sir Yi. When the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak, all the cultivators were scared witless. Their hearts trembled violently, and there was nothing left in their eyes but terror as they begged for mercy. The Fallen Star sect doesn't need traitors. In the sky several kilometers away, Yixing's voice was cold as he issued an order to the third-level beasts. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Whether it was in terms of hatred or reason, these people had to be killed. In terms of hatred, it was only natural that the Fallen Star sect would be wiped out. In terms of reason, Yixing had exposed all his trump cards today, so these people couldn't be left alive. Blood blossomed on Dongfu Peak, accompanied by endless screams. It was like hell on earth as blood flowed like rivers. Yi Xing was several miles away in the sky. He turned around, his back facing east supporting peak. Although the hatred in his heart was so great that he wanted to kill the Dongfu sect martial practitioners one by one, he still couldn't bear to do so when it came time to do so. It was one thing to want to kill, but it was another to do it with one's own hands. If Yi Xing were to personally take action and kill the defenseless Dongfu sect cultivators in front of him, perhaps he really wouldn't be able to do it if over 1,000 people died at his hands. Therefore, Yi Xing killed his way into the Dongfu sect and brought an army of monsters with him. In the battle, the demonic beast army did not play much of a role. Now, it was time for them to show their worth. The army of demonic beasts charged towards the Dongfu sect. They showed no mercy, only bloodshed. As for Yi Xing, as long as he hardened his heart, a single order would be enough. On Dongfu Peak, Enlightened Being 1 star had a level 3 beast to deal with, while the rest of the martial practitioners were dealt with by level 2 beasts. The army of monsters swarmed in from all directions. Not a single martial practitioner could escape. Even the level 3 formation master with his level 3 disc couldn't stop the attacks of 3 level 3 monsters. In just a few breaths, the silver-winged condor had cut him in two. The slaughter didn't last long. Soon, the screams on Dongfu Peak ceased. The martial practitioners and monsters of the Dongfu sect were all annihilated. The reinforcements from the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were all killed. After the slaughter, Yi Xing still didn't turn around or glance at Dongfu Peak. Instead, he landed on a mountain peak and carved a line of words with his astral energy. Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect, if you don't disband, the Dongfu sect will be your end. The Dongfu sect was much stronger than the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect, but it was still annihilated. Yi Xing's message was a threat. If the other 3 sects knew, they would most likely disband to prevent Yi Xing from making another trip. The Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were different from the Dongfu sect. They didn't have any great enmity with the Fallen Star sect. When the Fallen Star sect was annihilated, the 3 sects had only sent out enlightened beings to intercept Lu Tianyuan's group. Therefore, Yi Xing only needed to disband the 3 sections. It could be considered their annihilation as revenge for the Fallen Star sect. The silver-winged condor quickly flew over and Yi Xing leaped onto its back. Behind the condor were 2 2-star enlightened beings, both scarlet-winged flying lions. The other 2 were 3-star enlightened beings, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear. They ran over and stood below Yi Xing, looking up at the sky. Whoosh! The silver-winged condor flapped its wings and flew towards the direction of the Fallen Star sect. Behind it, the 2 scarlet-winged flying lions followed closely. On the ground, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear also took large strides, crossing mountains and ridges as they followed Yi Xing. Yi Xing brought these 5 demonic beasts back to the Fallen Star sect as Sect Protector demonic beasts. Sect Protector demonic beasts had to be completely tamed. Even if Yi Xing wasn't in the Fallen Star sect, they would still listen to the orders of the Fallen Star sect's martial artists. Yi Xing could control dozens of early rank 3 demonic beasts at once, but when Yi Xing wasn't around, these dozens of rank 3 demonic beasts might go out of control. Leaving them in the sect would be a hidden danger. Therefore, Yi Xing only brought 5 demonic beasts back. He had full confidence that he could completely tame these 5 demonic beasts. The other rank 3 demonic beasts led the demonic beast army back to the Green Cloud Mountain range. There might be a large amount of storage rings and resources left behind on the Dongfu Peak, but Yi Xing wasn't interested and didn't take anything away. It wasn't that he didn't care about these resources. No matter what, the more resources the better for the Fallen Star sect's reconstruction. But in Yi Xing's heart, there was a hurdle that he couldn't cross. The reason why he massacred the Dongfu sect was because the people of the Dongfu sect had to die, and not because he wanted to steal their things. Even if the people of the Dongfu sect died, their things would be taken away by others sooner or later. Since the Dongfu sect was destroyed by Yi Xing, it was only right and reasonable for Yi Xing to take the things of the Dongfu sect. But once Yi Xing took the things of the Dongfu sect, there would be another reason for him to massacre the Dongfu sect. It was to steal their resources. Although no one saw it, Yi Xing knew in his heart that it wasn't to steal their resources, it was to take revenge. But this time, He massacred the Dongfu sect and killed too many people. Blood flowed like a river. Yixing needed to give himself an unassailable reason. Revenge for the sect. He had to kill them. Other than that, there couldn't be any other reason. He wasn't a bloodthirsty demon, nor was he a psychopathic murderer. He wouldn't go on a killing spree just to steal their resources. If he took the items of the Dongfu sect afterwards, he might develop an inner demon in his heart. Even if it didn't happen for the time being, it would still leave a hidden danger. Perhaps one day, Yixing would encounter an inner demon in his martial path and have such thoughts. Back then, you massacred the entire Dongfu sect because you stole their resources. Today you can do the same. Kill, 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 kill. Kill them all and take their resources. Kill anyone who dares to stop you. Kill anyone who has the resources. Yixing had to put an end to any chance of his inner demons developing. His path of martial arts was to stick to his heart. He was not a saint who treated the world with kindness, nor was he a demon who treated the world with a murderous heart. Kindness had its own Tao, and killing had its own Tao. Yixing had his own Tao and his own standards in his heart. When Yixing returned to the first thing he did was tame a few demon beasts and let them guard the sect. Then, Yixing placed his focus on comprehending the formation. He couldn't guard the sect all the time, and there were no other experts in the Falling Star sect except for him. Yixing knew how important formations were to the safety of the sect. The green cloud venerates array formation knowledge was in his mind. As long as Yixing focused on comprehending it, it wouldn't be long before his array formation standards would continue to rise. By the time he completely mastered the green cloud venerates array formation knowledge, he would definitely become a level 3 array formation grandmaster. If he could set up a level 3 formation successfully, then even a high-level astral realm sage wouldn't be able to invade the Falling Star sect. While Yixing was comprehending formations in the news of the Dongfu sect's destruction spread rapidly in the Qingyun area. Although no one knew about the massacre, the Dongfu sect was a large sect with a large number of people. Not all the martial artists happened to be in the sect. When these martial artists returned to their sects, they naturally found out about the Dongfu sect's destruction. Moreover, the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect had sent 6 of their sect masters, grand elders, and inner elders to the Dongfu sect. Now that they had disappeared, the 3 sects would definitely send people to investigate. They would also find out about the Dongfu sect's destruction and Yixing's handwriting. As Yixing expected, even Watanabe Xiong was killed and the Dongfu sect was massacred. When the martial artists of the other 3 sects heard the news, they were all scared out of their wits. In the 3 sects, most of the remaining sages were 1-star sages. There were only 1 or 2 2-star sages, and none of the 3-star sages. With such strength, even without the threat of Yixing, it would be difficult for them to protect a sect. A 3-star sage's sage was enough to threaten the survival of these 3 sections. Under the discussion of sages the 3 sects were all disbanded. The fate of the Dongfu sect was still vivid in their minds. They didn't dare to disobey Yixing's warning. Moreover, the sages of the 3 sects were afraid of the Falling Star sect's revenge. They didn't even dare to stay in the southern part of the Green Cloud region. They either brought their disciples or juniors to the northern part of the Green Cloud region, or left the Green Cloud region to explore other regions of the True Xian domain. When the news spread to the northern part of the Green Cloud region, the 4 northern sects were all shocked. They had never thought that the Dongfu sect, which had a 4-star sage's sage like Watanabe Xiong, would be wiped out by the Falling Star sect. There were no other experts except for Yixing. The destruction of the Dongfu sect was obviously directly related to Yixing. How could Yixing destroy the Dongfu sect? No one saw what happened that day. The martial artists of the 4 northern sects were all shocked and puzzled. They didn't believe that Yixing had such heaven-defying strength as a 1-star sage's sage to be able to kill a 4-star sage's sage. This was because Yixing's performance at the Young Hero competition was only that of a 3-star sage's sage. The 3-star sage's strength was still far from that of a 4-star sage's sage. Chapter 420. Most of the martial artists guessed that Yixing must have had someone helping him in the background to destroy the Dongfu sect. Yixing was valued by Master Wu Yu of the Big Dipper sect during the Young Hero assembly. Afterward, Master Wu Yu even met with Yixing. If Yixing had a powerful backer, it would undoubtedly be the Big Dipper sect. The Big Dipper sect was one of the 9 greater sects. It was a superior 1-star sect and was extremely powerful. If Yi Xing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, killing Wu Bianxiong, a 4-star sage, would be a piece of cake. The Sun Moon sect had the biggest reaction to the massacre of the Dong Fu sect. This was because other than the Dong Fu sect, the Falling Star sect's biggest enemy was the Sun Moon sect. The Sun Moon sect treated the disciples of the Falling Star sect as slaves and sent them to the 9 Heaven City to be sold. Yi Xing then destroyed the Sun Moon sect hotspot in the 9 Heaven City. The Sun Moon sect naturally wanted to kill Yi Xing. However, because they guessed that Yi Xing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, the Sun Moon sect didn't dare to act rashly. Yi Xing returned to the Clear Sky region in a powerful manner. The Sun Moon sect was divided into 2 factions as to how to get along with Yi Xing. Yi Xing has the help of the Big Dipper sect. Our sect is no longer able to contend against him. We should improve our relationship with Yi Xing and resolve our hatred. The reconstruction of the Falling Star sect will definitely require a large amount of resources. Our sect should send a big gift and make peace with Yi Xing. Only then can we resolve our sect's crisis. Otherwise, from the fact that Yi Xing massacred the Dong Fu sect, he isn't a merciful person. The Sun Moon sect might learn from his mistakes. The elder led by Zhang Daohe, a 5-star sage, proposed to make peace with a gift to resolve the hatred. Yi Xing is a thief who hates our sect. How can he humiliate our Sun Moon sect with a gift? Furthermore, from the fact that Yi Xing massacred the Dong Fu sect and destroyed our sect's stronghold, he is a ruthless person. How can he truly resolve the hatred? If that's the case, he will take the opportunity to recuperate. Once his strength surpasses our sect, he will definitely make a move against us. The Dong Fu sect is our fate. The Dong Fu sect. To deal with this thief, we have to take the initiative and kill him. The Sun Moon sect, a 5-star sage, Yang Ba, proposed. And Yi Xing. This generation of disciples of the Sun Moon sect was the most outstanding generation since the establishment of the Sun Moon sect. Among them, the disciples of the Sun clan were the most outstanding. Yin Yang Young Master Yang Ming, Great Sun Young Master Yang Gan, and the 3rd disciple, Yang Kuan, were all disciples of the Yang clan. Yi Xing destroyed the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in 9 Heaven City. Yang Kuan was killed by Yi Xing in front of everyone. Yang Ming's whereabouts were unknown. Yang Ming saw Yi Xing's potential and felt that the Sun Moon sect was unreliable. He had already escaped from the True Xian domain. Among the 3, only Yang Gan was said to be alive. The Yang clan's disciples had suffered heavy losses. As the leader of the Yang clan, how could Yang Ba tolerate this? Of course, he proposed to kill Yi Xing. The Yang clan was the biggest clan in the Sun Moon sect. They had a large number of people. Yang Ba proposed to kill Yi Xing. He received the support of most of the elders and had the upper hand. In the Sun Moon sect, the Grand Elder, Yin Hongdan, was roaming outside. Within the sect master Yin Wudao, Grand Guardian Zhang Daohe, and Yang Ba, the 3 5-star sages, had the highest positions. Now, Zhang Daohe proposed to sue for peace, while Yang Ba wanted to kill him. This put the sect master Yin Wudao in a difficult position. Because of the strength of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Yin Wudao, like Zhang Daohe, wanted to sue for peace. However, there were too many elders supporting Yang Ba. Yin Wudao couldn't make up his mind. He could only let Zhang Daohe and Yang Ba decide who would win first. Zhang Daohe said, Yi Xing has the help of the Heavenly Dipper sect. How can we do anything to him? If we kill him, the hatred will intensify and there will be no way to resolve it. The Sun Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dong Fu sect. Yang Ba said, I've already said it clearly. Yi Xing won't resolve the hatred sincerely. If we sue for peace, it will give him time to bury himself. The Sun Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dong Fu sect. Zhang Daohe said, But we can't kill him now. You should know what kind of sect the Heavenly Dipper sect is. Yang Ba said, Of course I know. However, Yi Xing isn't from the Heavenly Dipper sect. Moreover, the Sun Moon sect isn't comparable to the Dong Fu sect. It's one of the most powerful forces in the Qingyun region. If the Heavenly Dipper sect dares to destroy the Sun Moon sect, it will definitely attract the hatred of all the 1-star medium sects in the True Xian region. The Heavenly Dipper sect has to weigh the consequences and see if it's worth it. I will kill Yi Xing with lightning speed. The Heavenly Dipper sect is interested in Yi Xing's potential. If Yi Xing dies, will the Heavenly Dipper sect go against the sect for a dead person? If the Heavenly Dipper sect wants to avenge Yi Xing and ask for an explanation from the Heavenly Dipper sect, I will apologize with my life so that the Heavenly Dipper sect won't have a reason to go against the sect. This. Hearing Yang Ba's words, Zhang Daohe was speechless. Yin Wudao stood up and cupped his fists towards Yang Ba. For the sake of the sect, Protector Yang is willing to give up his life. You are truly a role model for our sect. What else can I say? I can only help Protector Yang succeed. Yang Ba said, speed is the most important thing in war. I will move now. Before the Heavenly Dipper sect can react, I will kill Yi Xing with lightning speed. Yin Wudao sent 2 4-star sage to accompany Yang Ba to the south of the Qingyun region to kill Yi Xing, south of the Qingyun mountain range, outside the Falling Star sect. Boom 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 boom. The sound of explosions shook the heavens. The supreme guardian of the Sun Moon sect, Yang Ba, and the sect leader of the Tian Luo sect, Luo Zhan, were fighting fiercely. Although the 2 3-star sages of the Tian Luo sect had followed the group of Falling Star sect disciples and hadn't returned yet, they had already sent someone to pass on the news. Luo Zhan had already thought highly of Yi Xing during the 10 sects competition. After learning about Yi Xing's performance at the Young Hero competition, he had a whole new level of respect for Yi Xing. He had made Yi Xing his most important ally. After hearing that the Dongfu sect had been destroyed, Luo Zhan had prepared a big gift and brought people to the Falling Star sect immediately. He had arrived earlier than the people of the Sun Moon sect. When the people of the Sun Moon sect arrived, Luo Zhan naturally stood up for Yi Xing and fought against Yang Ba. The 2 5-star sages fought fiercely. As soon as they attacked, the astral light shot out more than 1,000 feet. The ground cracked instantly and some small mountains were directly cut in half. Yang Ba had used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the burning saber technique. The saber aura was shocking. Each saber carried with it scorching flames. The saber aura shot out more than 1,000 feet and shook the heavens and the earth. Luo Zhan had also used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the heavenly net palm. Luo Zhan had used an upper-class spiritual weapon. Each of his palms was 1,000 feet large palm print that had the power to pull up a mountain. The palm print was ever-changing. No matter how strong the saber aura was, it was defeated by the 1,000 feet large palm print. Today, Yang Ba had come to kill Yi Xing. He was risking his life. Whether it was astral energy, astrology, martial arts, or the power of the general, he had used all of them to the limit. However, in terms of cultivation, Yang Ba was inferior. He was at the middle stage of the 5th-star realm, while Luo Zhan was at the peak of the 5th-star realm. Yang Ba was only the 3rd most powerful person in the Sun Moon sect, while Luo Zhan was the most powerful person in the Tian Luo sect. Even though Yang Ba was almost risking his life, he was getting weaker and weaker in front of Luo Zhan. The heavenly net palm print in Luo Zhan's hands had the power to hit the stars and catch the moon. In the end, Yang Ba was forced to retreat. Yang Ba, who was retreating, roared, Luo Zhan, this brat has nothing to do with you. Why do you insist on standing up for him? If I don't kill this brat today, I'm not a man. Do you want me to burn my astral energy and perish with you? Luo Zhan was unmoved. He was still in a fierce battle. He smiled and said, perish with me? You can try. After a few moves, Yang Ba, who was retreating, did not burn his astral energy. Instead, he borrowed the strength of Luo Zhan's palms to escape. The 2 4 celestial enlightened masters from the Sun Moon sect immediately followed. Yang Ba's target was Yi Xing. If he burned his astral energy, the most he could do was perish together with Luo Zhan. However, Yi Xing was still alive. The threat of the Sun Moon sect was still there. Naturally, he could not sacrifice himself for nothing. Luo Zhan's goal was to prevent Yang Ba from killing Yi Xing. Since Yang Ba had escaped, he naturally did not pursue him. Looking at Yang Ba's retreating figure, Luo Zhan said loudly, Yang Ba, from today on, I will guard the Falling Star sect until the experts of the Tiangang sect arrive. You want to kill Yi Xing? Dream on. Dozens of miles away, Yang Ba stopped. His eyes were full of unwillingness and indignation. The 2 4 celestial enlightened masters quickly caught up. One of them said, Lord Protector, the Falling Star sect has another stronghold. Since Luo Zhan is here to protect Yi Xing, Should we go and destroy the other stronghold? The other 4 celestial enlightened masters said, That's right. The 2 places are too far apart. It's impossible for them to help each other. Yixing is a coward. Let's destroy the other stronghold and see if he will come out. Yang Ba looked in the direction of the falling star sect. He let out a long sigh and shook his head. If Yixing is dead, it doesn't matter if he kills everyone in the falling star sect. But if he's not dead, don't spread the hatred. This guy is ruthless. If he kills one more person from the falling star sect today, he will definitely receive double the revenge. It's not good for our sect. A4 celestial enlightened master asked. Then what should we do? Yang Ba turned his eyes and said, You guys go back. I'll stay. I don't believe that Yixing won't leave the sect alone. I'll find a chance to kill him. In the Yixing thanked Luo Zhan. Thank you for your help, sect leader Luo. Although Yixing could escape with the azure cloud wings after Yang Ba broke the formation of the Yang Ba could not threaten Yixing's life. However, Yixing was very grateful for Luo Zhan's help. He had already rearranged the formation of the falling star sect. He did not want to be attacked a second time. Luo Zhan laughed and said, You're welcome. Yixing, my little friend. I knew you were extraordinary back in the 10 sects tournament. Haha. I was right. How long has it been? You've already made such achievements. In the future, the entire Qingyun region will be your world. Haha. Yixing smiled and said, The Qingyun region is too small. Luo Zhan said, I know your ambition. Maybe the true Xian domain is too small in your eyes. If you can make a name for yourself in the true Xian domain or other regions, it will be the glory of the Qingyun region. I believe that it won't be long before I see it. Haha. Chapter 421. With Luo Zhan guarding the falling star sect and Yixing comprehending the formations in the Yang Ba didn't have the chance to kill Yixing even though he was secretly eyeing him. Day by day, Yixing's mastery of formations improved by leaps and bounds. A month later, Yixing's mastery of formations improved by a level. He became a level 3 formation grandmaster and comprehended level 3 formations to the minor accomplishment realm. Twin dragons emerging from water formation. Yin-yang fire snake formation. Triple cloud dragon formation. Yin-yang golden light formation. Yixing set up 4 level 3 formations outside Theon defensive formation, Yin-yang golden light formation, 1 psychedelic formation, triple cloud dragon formation, and 2 offensive formations, twin dragons emerging from water formation and Yin-yang fire snake formation. With level 3 formations at the minor accomplishment realm, even a mid-level perfected one wouldn't be able to break into the falling star sect. With Luo Zhan accompanying him, Yixing left the falling star sect and went to the star crystal mine. Due to the lack of materials for the formations, Yixing only set up a Yin-yang golden light formation at the star crystal mine. It was enough to block a mid-level perfected one's attack for a long time. Yixing was relieved that the formations at the falling star sect and the star crystal mine had improved by a level. He should focus on his martial arts cultivation now. After returning to the Luo Zhan didn't need to protect them anymore because they had level 3 formations at the minor accomplishment realm. Luo Zhan bid farewell to Yixing and returned to the Tian Luo sect. One day, Yixing went to the Falling Star Valley and took out the stellar token. With the stellar token, Yixing could enter the stellar hall. He could also go through a trial in the astral realm. Of course, he couldn't miss this opportunity. Yixing activated the stellar token and was quickly transported to the first level of the stellar hall. You're back? Yixing, you reached the astral realm earlier than I expected. As soon as Yixing entered the stellar hall, Mr. Pimp's voice entered his ears. Yixing didn't see Mr. Pimp, but he still bowed respectfully. The voice of the tortoise continued. There are still 4 levels to the Enlightened Person Realms trial. There are no rewards for the first and second levels. The reward for the 3rd level is the low-grade Mystic rank Falling Star Art and a top-grade Spirit weapon. The reward for the 4th level is the mid-grade Mystic rank Falling Star Art and a top-grade Spirit pill. Let's begin. It was Yixing's first time entering the Star Palace. Every time he reached a new floor, the pimp would tell him the rewards and grades of that floor. Now that the pimp was familiar with Yixing, he directly told him all the rewards for the 4th floor. As soon as the tortoise finished speaking, A trial target with the same cultivation level as Yixing appeared in front of him. Flaming Dipper Fist. Yixing took a step forward and punched out. The flaming fist arrived in front of the trial target. Facing an opponent of the same level, Yixing's punch was enough. The trial target was blasted apart by Yixing's punch, and the first trial was passed. The staircase leading to the second floor appeared, and Yixing arrived at the second floor. The trial target of the second floor was a 2-star enlightened person, one level higher than Yixing Flaming Dipper Fist, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Yixing punched again, but this time, he used the ultimate move of the Flaming Dipper Fist. The trial target of the second floor was also blasted apart. Soon, Yixing arrived at the third floor. The trial target was a 3-star enlightened person, 2 levels higher than Yixing. A ray of starlight rushed out from between Yixing's eyebrows and turned into the Sagittarius constellation. Yixing took out the startling sky bow and the purple gold arrow at the same time. Yixing remembered clearly that the results of the trial on the third floor were the same as the first and second floors. It was divided into 7 levels. Defeating the enemy in one move would give the highest reward, the 7th level. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. Whoosh! The arrow shot out explosively and transformed into a huge azure dragon. Yixing's attainments in archery were extremely high, and his archery skills had reached perfection. Under the Sagittarius constellation, he could kill a 4-star enlightened person. The trial target was a 3-star enlightened person, so naturally, he would be killed with 1 arrow. Very good. You have perfectly passed the third floor. The reward is a complete low-grade profound level falling star incantation and a supreme-grade spirit weapon. What kind of weapon do you need? The voice of Mr. Pimp resounded, and a ball of resplendent light appeared above Yixing, rushing into Yixing's mind. The low-grade profound level falling star incantation inheritance appeared in Yixing's mind. A low-grade profound level martial incantation inheritance was enough to cultivate to the mid-astral reaching realm and become a venerable. This kind of martial incantation inheritance was not available in the entire True Xian region. If people knew about it, there would definitely be a large number of martial arts forces fighting to the death. This was a priceless treasure. Although a supreme-grade spirit weapon was also a top treasure in the True Xian region, it was nothing compared to the low-grade profound level falling star incantation. Yixing thought for a moment and said, Bow-type weapon. Supreme-grade spirit weapon, Big Dipper Bow. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded, and a bright light flashed in front of Yixing suddenly. A resplendent bow appeared. There were 7 gems embedded on the bow, shining with resplendent light, like 7 stars. These 7 gems are metal ores of different attributes. They contain extremely powerful star power. When using the Big Dipper Bow, there is no need for a bow and arrow. The metal chi contained in the 7 gems will automatically condense into a Big Dipper arrow. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded in Yixing's ears. Yixing took the Big Dipper Bow in his hand, and his palm touched the 7 gems as he loudly praised, Good bow! It's really a good bow. The Big Dipper Bow was quite heavy in his hand. Even with Yixing's strength, he felt that it was heavy. Open! Yixing shouted and tried to draw the Big Dipper Bow. However, Yixing circulated his star energy, and his physical strength exploded to the limit. He used all his strength, but he only managed to draw the bowstring slightly. The bow did not move at all. With Yixing's current strength, he could not draw the Big Dipper Bow at all. The Big Dipper Bow was a supreme-grade spirit bow. Once it was drawn, it could kill at least a 6-star sage, or even a 7-star sage. Of course, Yixing could not draw it. Hee. It's still too early for you to draw the Big Dipper Bow. This is the best supreme-grade spirit bow. When the bowstring is fully drawn, it can kill a 9-star sage. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded, and it shocked Yixing. The Big Dipper Bow was more terrifying than he had imagined. When the bowstring was fully drawn, it could kill a 9-star sage, and a 9-star sage was already the person with the highest cultivation. In other words, as long as Yixing could draw the Big Dipper Bow into a full moon, he could kill any martial artist in the True Xian domain. The power of the Big Dipper Bow was evident. Yixing played with the Big Dipper Bow for a while. After 10 breaths, he put it away and went up the stairs to the 4th level. On the 4th level, Yixing finally saw Mr. Pimp. He had already turned into his human form. He was a wretched little old man. Yixing went forward and greeted him. Mr. Pimp looked at Yi Xing with admiration and said, "With your archery realm, archery skills, and the Sagittarius constellation, passing the trial on the 4th level will be a piece of cake. When do you want to start the trial?" Yi Xing put on the blazing flame gloves and said, "Now." Mr. Pimp took a few steps and left. Then, a light flashed in front of him, and the trial target appeared. It was a 4-star sage. On the last day of the month, please clear your monthly tickets. Chapter 422. A 4-star true master was 3 boundaries higher than Yi Xing. But Yi Xing didn't fear this at all. He had the heaven-startling bow in hand. With his attainments in archery, as well as the might of the Sagittarius constellation, he could definitely kill his target. Dongfu sect master Watanabe Xiong was a 4-star true master. He had died beneath Yi Xing's arrow. But Yi Xing didn't take out the heaven-startling bow. Instead, he took out a high-grade spirit weapon, the Black Dragon Spear. In that instant, Yi Xing used the Black Hole constellation. A beam of starlight shot out from between his eyebrows, turning into a giant black hole vortex that hung high in the air. All around, everything was shrouded in darkness. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their own fingers. However, Yi Xing's perception in this world of darkness was much stronger than his vision. It was like a super brain scanning the surroundings. Even the smallest changes in his surroundings were clearly seen by Yi Xing. Then, the flame constellation also rose into the sky. But it couldn't shake the position of the black hole vortex. It remained in a corner of the sky. Yi Xing used the black hole constellation and flame constellation at the same time. The Black Dragon Spear point bloomed with a sun-like brilliance, burning with a dazzling white flame. In this world of darkness, it was extremely eye-catching. Yi Xing displayed the starting stance of the high-grade spirit weapon, Sun Flame Spear Art. He didn't want to kill his trial target with just a few arrows. Rather, he wanted to engage in a frontal battle with his trial target and temper his martial arts attainments. Sun Flame Spear Art was a fire attribute spear art gifted to him by esteemed Wu Yu. Yi Xing had only practiced it with his superbrain. Although he was skilled in it, he hadn't experienced actual combat and hadn't comprehended the Sun Flame Spear Art's Tao. Thus, his attainments could only be considered at the entry level. What Yi Xing lacked was the comprehension of actual combat. In any case, the 4th level didn't care about time, only victory or defeat. As long as Yi Xing defeated his trial target in the end, he could use the trial target as a practice target midway through. Fire attribute martial arts couldn't perfectly fuse with the world of darkness created by the Black Hole constellation. The blazing flames on the spear point were extremely conspicuous in this world of darkness. Although the target of the smelting trial was in the world of darkness, it immediately discovered the dazzling white flames on the Black Dragon Spear point. From afar, it pointed towards Yi Xing. As soon as the trial target made his move, Yi Xing felt a strong gust of wind blowing against his face. At the same time, his dark sense also captured a terrifying finger aura, which exploded in front of him as the trial target raised his hand. He's even stronger than Watanabe Yu. As soon as the trial target attacked, Yi Xing immediately made a judgment in his heart. Watanabe Xiong had long surpassed the golden period of cultivation. He had used external factors to forcefully raise his cultivation to Astral Star Realm Stage 4. Such a 4-star Taoist master was the weakest in the same realm. As for the goal of the trial, even if it couldn't be considered the strongest within the same realm, it would still be above average in strength. The momentum of the wind. Heavenly bat steps. Yi Xing's figure flashed, instantly vanishing from sight. Yi Xing's Sun Flame Spear Art was only at the entry level. It was difficult for him to directly contend with a 4-star Taoist master. Yi Xing had to use his own advantages to fight the trial target. A resplendent spear aura instantly cut through the pitch-black space. It bloomed with the light of flames and instantly pierced towards the trial target. Yi Xing dodged his opponent's attack and immediately launched a counterattack. The Sun Flame Spear Art had a total of 81 basic spear moves and 3 finishing moves: Burning Annihilation, Chasing Sun, and Flame Explosion. These 3 finishing moves corresponded to the 3 attainments of the spear art: Small Success, Large Success, and Perfection. Each move was fiercer than the last. Yi Xing's current Sun Flame Spear Art was only at the entry level. He could only use the 81 basic spear moves. Their strength was limited. Even if he had the power of the fire constellation and the momentum of the fire, compared to the power of the trial target, it was still slightly inferior. He could only use his speed and perception to fight the trial target. Currently, Yi Xing's understanding of the wind had already reached a very high level in the minute subtlety realm. Coupled with the superb heavenly bat movement technique, his speed was indeed like a ghost, extremely fast. Even a 4-star sage was inferior to him. The trial target opened his 5 fingers and shot out a finger aura. He pressed down with his palm and a giant handprint fell down. He clenched his 5 fingers and a fist aura immediately shot out. Finger, palm, and fist techniques were all upper-tier spiritual martial arts. They were all at a high level and were close to the large success stage. It could be seen that the trial target's hand techniques were extraordinary. Fortunately, the trial target's movement technique wasn't as high as his martial arts attainment, so Yi Xing was able to rely on his incomparably fast speed and super perception to be able to see all the changes in his surroundings to be on par with the trial target. Yi Xing had already practiced the Sun Flame Spear art in the Super Brain simulation. He was very familiar with it and there were no mistakes. Now, in the fierce battle, Yi Xing's comprehension was superb. He quickly understood the Tao of the Sun Flame Spear art. He was improving with every passing moment. In just 3 days, Yi Xing had practiced the Sun Flame Spear art to the small success stage. Another 10 days later, the Sun Flame Spear art had reached another level and reached the large success stage. In less than half a month, the power of Yi Xing's Sun Flame Spear art had a tremendous change. After reaching the large success stage, Yi Xing no longer used his movement techniques to dodge. Instead, he clashed with the trial target directly. Giant Palm Seal. The trial target condensed astral stars in his hands and pressed down on Yi Xing immediately. 2 giant palm seals came crashing down from the skies, one in front and one behind. As the 2 palm seals overlapped, the power behind them was horrifying. Before the Sun Flame Spear art had broken through to the large success stage, Yi Xing only had a single method to face such an attack. That was to rely on his speed to dodge and escape the range of the palm seals. But now, Yi Xing didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. The black dragon spear in his hands erupted with blazing flames as he counterattacked. Sun Flame Spear art. Burning annihilation. At this moment, the black dragon spear point was like a volcanic eruption. Endless flames surged out, the power of these flames horrifying. Bang! The black dragon spear brought with it an incomparably terrifying flame momentum. It smashed apart the 2 giant palm seals. The trial target's body shook. In that instant, the 5 fingers of his left hand opened and 5 astral fingers shot out. The 5 fingers of his right hand clenched and a fist came crashing down. Both sides drew their bows at the same time, displaying 2 different types of martial arts. With this combination, the trial target's strength suddenly rose by a great deal. However, just as the trial target's body shook, Yi Xing's spear was already a step ahead of him. Sun Flame Spear art. Chasing Sun. As this spear thrust out, all that was left in the void was a dazzling white beam of light. The trial target's martial arts had just been displayed when Yi Xing's black dragon spear pierced through the trial target's head with a terrifying strength, instantly blowing it apart. The trial target vanished from sight. The attack it sent out also vanished at this moment. Star Hall's 4th level, the trial had been successfully completed. Yi Xing put away the black dragon spear, a satisfied smile on his face. The Sun Flame Spear art was not a darkness attribute martial art and was unable to perfectly fuse with the Black Hole Astral Avatar. But with the Black Hole Astral Avatar and Fire Astral Avatar revolving at the same time, Yi Xing didn't need to rely on a bow and arrow to kill a 4-star sage. The strength of an arrow was not only related to one's attainments in archery, but also the strength of the bow. As Yi Xing's cultivation increased and the grade of the bow remained the same, the strength of the arrow was limited. However, the power of Yi Xing's martial arts had improved greatly as his cultivation base increased. When Yi Xing was a 1-star sage, he had used the heaven-startling bow. His strength in archery was much higher than his strength in martial arts. If Yi Xing used the Sun Flame Spear art, he might not be able to do anything to a peak 4-star sage. But if he used archery, he could kill any 4-star sage. However, once Yi Xing's cultivation broke through to the 2nd level of the astral realm, then the growth of his martial arts strength would be greater than the growth of his archery strength. At this boundary, his archery strength might not have too great of an advantage. If Yi Xing's cultivation broke through to the third level of the astral realm, then his martial arts strength might surpass his archery strength. After becoming a 4-star sage, the disparity between them would be even greater. Of course, this was only if the grade of Yi Xing's bow didn't change. If Yi Xing could draw the Big Dipper bow, then his strength in archery would far surpass his strength in martial arts. He could even kill a 7th-level astral realm master. After Yi Xing completed the trial, Duke Pimp arrived at Yi Xing's side and said, "Very good, you've completed the 4th level. You have obtained the complete reward of the medium-grade profound level falling star art as well as a top-grade spirit pill, the Jade Star Pill." A ball of light appeared above Yi Xing's head and entered his brain. Soon, some information appeared in his mind. Yi Xing was secretly shocked. The medium-grade profound level falling star art, and a complete one at that, probably didn't exist in the entire East Divine Continent. According to Yi Xing's knowledge, there were only 3 high-rank empires in the East Divine Continent that possessed the medium-grade profound level cultivation technique. However, these 3 high-rank empires couldn't compare to any of the 12 empires under the direct jurisdiction of the Great Yuan dynasty. The 12 empires in the Middle Sky continent were the true peak 2-star forces that possessed the complete medium-grade profound level cultivation technique inheritance. It could be seen that the 3 high-rank empires in the East Divine continent didn't necessarily possess the complete medium-grade profound level cultivation technique inheritance. Then, it could be seen how precious the medium-grade profound level falling star art in Yi Xing's hands was. Who would have thought that the falling star sect in the remote true mystic domain of the East Divine continent would possess such a heaven-defying treasure? If someone knew about it, it would cause a life-and-death battle between all the martial forces in the East Divine continent. Since the falling star secret realm had fallen from the sky, it obviously contained a shocking secret. Other than the medium-grade profound level falling star art, Yi Xing also obtained the supreme-grade spirit pill, the Jade Star Pill. Yi Xing was very familiar with the Jade Star Pill. When he completed the 4th level of the Star Hall in the Star Vortex realm, he also obtained one. It was a peerless spirit pill that could strengthen the physical body. The one he obtained previously was a high-grade spirit pill. With the high-grade Jade Star Pill, not only did Yi Xing's physical body strengthen to the point that it was stronger than a 1-star enlightened master, the surging star energy within the pill also raised his cultivation by a level. The efficacy of the supreme-grade Jade Star Pill was more than 10 times higher than that of the high-grade Jade Star Pill. Yi Xing was delighted. It seemed that his physical body's strength had another great leap. Moreover, his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 1st level of the astral realm. With the help of the supreme-grade Jade Star Pill, he should be able to break through to the 2nd-star enlightened master. Chapter 423. After Yi Xing consumed the supreme-grade Jade Star Pellet, a warm current gushed out from his body, and his body gradually grew stronger. Yi Xing was about to undergo another round of cleansing, shedding his mortal body and strengthening it. Yi Xing only used 4 hours to completely absorb the high-grade Jade Star Pellet. Now, Yi Xing's cultivation was no longer the same as before, and the speed at which he absorbed the pellet was much faster than before. However, it still took Yi Xing nearly an entire day to completely absorb the supreme-grade Jade Star Pellet. Yi Xing's body was covered with a layer of black cocoon. This was the impurities and toxins that were expelled from his body through his pores when he absorbed the supreme-grade Jade Star Pellet. From the outside, Yi Xing looked pitch black and dirty, but the flesh and blood inside Yi Xing's body was clean, without the slightest impurity. Moreover, Yi Xing's blood was like mercury, flowing like a river. Yi Xing's bones were like diamonds and white jade, untainted by even a speck of dust, sparkling and translucent, and incomparably sturdy. His meridians and skin were as sturdy as a shield when he exerted his strength. His entire body seemed to be made of steel, filled with power. Yi Xing was both surprised and happy when he sensed the power in his body. The strengthening of his physique this time was better than he had imagined. According to his understanding of beginner enlightened masters, he could probably crush beginner enlightened masters with just the strength of his body. Yi Xing was confident that he could even fight a 4-star enlightened master with the strength of his body. In fact, if Yi Xing used his martial arts, crushing a 4-star enlightened master would be as easy as flipping his hand. The benefits that the supreme-grade Jade Star Pellet brought to Yi Xing were far more than that. Yi Xing's cultivation also naturally broke through to the 2nd level of the astral realm, becoming a 2-star sage. Moreover, he had already consolidated to the middle level of the 2nd level, and was not far from the late level. This would greatly shorten Yi Xing's cultivation time in the second level of the astral realm. Yi Xing's body trembled as a terrifying force erupted from within him. With a violent tremble, the black patch on his body, along with his clothes, was instantly reduced to dust, disappearing without a trace after being swept away by the chi force. Yi Xing's body glowed faintly, as if he was a precious gem. The muscles on his body were neither too much nor too little. They were streamlined and perfect, giving off a sense of strength and beauty. If a woman was here and saw Yi Xing's body, she would probably scream. Yi Xing waved his hand and took out a set of clothes from the storage ring. He put them on and stood up with a big smile on his face. This time, he had gained a lot from entering the Star Palace. Whether it was cultivation, spirit weapons, or martial arts inheritance, Yi Xing was completely satisfied. It had already been half a month since he entered the Star Palace. Although the Falling Star Sect and the Star Crystal Mine were both protected by a small success level 3 formation, Yi Xing was still somewhat worried. He had too many enemies, and was afraid that a powerful enemy would come to the Falling Star Sect for revenge. Yi Xing bowed to the tortoise and said, "Tortoise, disciple is leaving." The tortoise nodded. Yi Xing had passed the Astral Realm's trial, which made the tortoise value him even more. The tortoise said, "Your martial arts inheritance is enough for you to cultivate to the limit of the astral reaching realm. Wait until you become an astral reaching realm venerable. Then you can enter the venerable realm's trial. Cultivate well." Through the star medallion, Yi Xing left the Star Palace and appeared outside the Falling Star Valley. He inspected the Falling Star Sect and found that there was no damage. There was also no bad news from the Star Crystal Mine. It had already been 2 months since Yi Xing returned from the Nine Sky City. The Falling Star Sect's disciples should arrive in 8 to 10 days. At that time, the Falling Star Sect would be considered to have been truly rebuilt. While waiting for the Falling Star Sect's disciples to return, Yi Xing didn't stay idle. He used a large amount of mid-grade star crystals to set up a small success level 3 spirit gathering formation, and then cultivated the upper-grade Falling Star incantation. A huge amount of star power was absorbed into Yi Xing's body. Yi Xing had become a 2-star sage, and his attainment in the upper-grade Falling Star incantation had increased extremely quickly. 3 days later, Yi Xing's upper-grade Falling Star incantation had reached the 7th layer, the highest realm. Then, Yi Xing converted his astral energy and continued to cultivate the supreme-grade Falling Star incantation. The 7th layer of the upper-grade Falling Star incantation had been converted into the 3rd layer of the supreme-grade Falling Star incantation. Although it was a conversion of the same level, Yi Xing's astral energy had also increased by a level, increasing his strength once again. Ordinary 2-star sages didn't have high attainments in the upper-grade spirit realm martial arts inheritance. Among the 7 layers of the upper-grade Falling Star incantation, being able to reach the 3rd layer was already not bad. Those who could reach the 4th or 5th layer were geniuses. As for Yi Xing, he had the superbrain to scan his body and correct any errors in his cultivation. It was better than being personally taught by a master. Naturally, his cultivation method inheritance was far superior to ordinary people. Even the most monstrous of geniuses couldn't compare to Yi Xing. In the 2-star sage realm, other martial artists' cultivation method inheritances were only at the 3rd or 4th layer of the upper-grade spirit realm. However, Yi Xing's cultivation method inheritance was at the 3rd layer of the supreme-grade spirit realm. Cultivating for the same amount of time, Yi Xing had obtained much more star power than other martial artists. From this, it could be seen that Yi Xing's cultivation speed was much faster than other martial artists. Even geniuses with extremely high heavenly fate aptitudes couldn't compare to him. The only thing that could stop Yi Xing from advancing so quickly on the path of martial arts was that he was restricted by the heavenly fate. Yi Xing's heavenly fate was devoured from young master Watanabe. With a 3-star yellow fate, he could naturally cultivate to the 3-star sage realm. After that, although he could still cultivate, his cultivation speed would be greatly reduced due to the restriction of the heavenly fate. Even if he could break through the restriction of the heavenly fate, he wouldn't be able to go too far. Now that I'm already a 2-star sage, I'll reach the limit of the 3-star yellow fate if I want to increase my cultivation speed. I have to continue devouring higher heavenly fates if I want to maintain my cultivation speed. Yi Xing thought to himself. On this day, Yi Xing put away the level 3 spirit gathering array. Cultivating in the astral realm was extremely difficult. Yi Xing's cultivation speed was much faster than other martial artists. It would take a long time for him to break through from the 2-star sage realm to the 3-star sage realm. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to cultivate the supreme grade falling star incantation. Yi Xing was preparing to cultivate the archery technique he got from Qijua's storage ring, the flame arrow incantation. The flame arrow incantation was an upper-grade spiritual martial art, which was 1 grade higher than the 4 symbols arrow incantation. Yi Xing's 4 symbols arrow incantation had already reached the transformation stage, which was the limit. If he wanted to reach a higher level in archery, he had to cultivate a more powerful archery technique. The flame arrow incantation was a must. Yi Xing's sky bow had a shooting range of at least 10 miles, which required a large space. The falling star sect wasn't suitable. Behind there was a mountain range that stretched for hundreds of miles. There was a small basin that was less than 100 miles away from the falling star sect. It was a suitable place to practice archery. On this day, Yi Xing left the falling star sect and headed to the small basin behind the mountain. Yang Ba, who had been lurking outside the falling star sect and waiting for Yi Xing to leave, finally waited for the day that Yi Xing left the falling star sect. "Little bastard, I thought you were hiding in the sex formation and not coming out. Humph. You're finally willing to show up. Today, I'm going to let you die without a burial place." Yang Ba thought to himself. With the help of the mountain range, he followed Yi Xing from a distance. Yi Xing was very fast. If he was too close to the falling star sect would probably escape back into the falling star sect as soon as Yang Ba attacked. Therefore, Yang Ba followed from a distance and didn't rush forward. Instead, he wanted to wait until Yi Xing was far away from the falling star sect. When he was confident that he could kill Yi Xing before Yi Xing escaped back to he would come out. He had been waiting outside the falling star sect for a long time. He had enough patience and wasn't in a hurry. After Yi Xing left he didn't stop and came to the small basin that was about 100 miles away from the back mountain. After arriving, Yi Xing didn't rush to make arrows. Instead, he turned around and shouted to a mountain in the distance. "How long do you want to follow me sneakily? Come out." 7 or 8 miles away, on a big tree with lush branches and leaves, Yang Ba was shocked. He followed Yi Xing from a distance and thought that Yi Xing didn't know about it at all. Unexpectedly, Yi Xing had discovered him long ago. Although he was a little surprised that Yi Xing could discover him, Yi Xing was now alone. Yang Ba wasn't afraid of Yi Xing's conspiracy. Instead, he wanted to seize this opportunity to kill Yi Xing. Yang Ba jumped up from the big tree and the astral wings appeared. He glided to the top of a mountain in front of Yi Xing. Yang Ba looked down at Yi Xing from above and said, "Little brat, your alertness is quite extraordinary. You can actually discover me following you. But so what? You won't be able to escape from my palm today." Yang Ba's eyes were fierce. He grabbed the air and squeezed hard as if Yi Xing was really in his palm. He wanted to crush Yi Xing into pieces. Yi Xing stared at Yang Ba from afar, the corner of his mouth slightly raised as he said, "Only a 4-star yellow fate. Your fate is really trash, but it's still better than Watanabe Shin's. I'll reluctantly use it." Even though Yi Xing's fate was only a 2-star red fate, his black hole could devour the fate of others. As a result, Yi Xing stood at the peak of fate. Therefore, in Yi Xing's eyes, a 4-star yellow fate was only trash fate. Yi Xing had the ambition to become a king, a man who stood at the peak of the martial path in the star continent. His fate was at least a king's fate. According to his knowledge, fate was divided into 5 grades: red, orange, yellow, green, and azure. A red fate was an ordinary fate. An orange fate was a martial saint fate. A yellow fate was an enlightened master fate. A green fate was a venerable fate. A cyan fate was a king's fate. As for whether there were blue or purple fate beasts, Yi Xing had never heard of them, so he had no idea. In short, if he wanted to become a king, he needed a cyan fate. If it wasn't enough, the difficulty would increase greatly. Therefore, in Yi Xing's eyes, even a venerable fate was nothing. Only a king's fate was his goal. However, the path had to be taken one step at a time, and the meal had to be eaten one bite at a time. The king's mandate was only his ultimate goal. Before reaching his ultimate goal, no matter what kind of mandate it was, as long as it was beneficial to him, he would devour it. A 4-star yellow fate was only 1 star higher than a 3-star yellow fate. Yi Xing didn't mind. Black May is over. I will work hard in June. The first day of June. I wish all my brothers and sisters a happy holiday. Guaranteed monthly votes. Can I cast one? Thank you. Chapter 424. Facing Yixing alone, Yang Ba thought that everything was under his control. However, he didn't know that Yixing had already seen him as a dead man and wanted to devour his heaven's will. 4-star yellow fate. Trash? Yang Ba was instantly enraged. 4-star yellow fate. As long as one had a technique inheritance, they were destined to reach the 4th level of the astral realm and become a mid-level enlightened being. Even in the northern part of the Jianghu region, a 4-star yellow fate was a rare first-rate heavens will that was envied by thousands of martial artists. However, in Yixing's mouth, Yang Ba's 4-star yellow fate was trash. How could Yang Ba not be angry? Yang Ba snorted and said, "My 4-star yellow fate is a trash heaven's will. How high can yours be?" Heaven's will was closely related to one's bloodline. The stronger the descendant, the higher the heaven's will. The descendant of an honorable was at least a peak enlightened being with a high chance of reaching the honorable realm. On the other hand, the descendant of a martial saint could only reach the martial saint fate, not the enlightened being. Yixing was a martial artist from the southern part of the Jianghu region, and the highest heavens will in the history of the southern part of the Jianghu region was only a 4-star yellow fate, similar to Yang Ba. Yang Ba didn't believe that Yixing's heavens will would surpass his. Therefore, even though Yixing had broken through to the enlightened being at such a young age, Yang Ba didn't have the right to mock his heaven's will as trash. This was because once Yixing's cultivation reached the limit of heaven's will, his cultivation speed would immediately slow down. His final achievement wouldn't be much higher than the limit of heaven's will. However, as soon as Yang Ba said this, before Yixing could reply, his expression froze, revealing a look of surprise. Yixing actually knew that he was a 4-star yellow fate, but he didn't know what heaven's will was for Yixing. Could it be that this brat can see the heaven's will of others? That's impossible. Yang Ba thought to himself. He couldn't believe this fact. He should have known about my heaven's will long ago. Yixing's expression was cold as he chuckled. My heaven's will is not high. In fact, it's very low. I was only a 2-star red will. 2-star red life? Hearing this, Yang Ba didn't laugh at Yixing. Instead, he was shocked. For Yixing to become a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm at the age of 18, in Yang Ba's opinion, Yixing's heaven's fate should be at least 3 stars or even 4 stars. A 2-star crimson life was too trashy. Based on talent, he could only cultivate to the 2nd level of the star tempering realm. Even among the most ordinary cultivators, he would be at the bottom. Although it was difficult to go against the will of the heavens, once a martial artist's cultivation reached the limit of the heavens, any further breakthroughs would be going against the will of the heavens. However, the heavens had the virtue of cherishing life. Everything had a thread of leeway. Although the heavens would restrict a cultivator's cultivation, it would not completely restrict them to death. If one was diligent enough and had great perseverance, one could still continue to make breakthroughs. Especially if one was lucky enough to obtain some peerless treasures, one could easily break through one's limits and take another step forward on the path of martial arts. In Yang Ba's opinion, it wasn't strange for a 2-star crimson life to cultivate to the 4th, 5th, or even 6th level. He had seen a 2-star yellow life martial artist become a 6-star Taoist being because of a great opportunity and great fortune. However, there was a limit to going against the will of the heavens and breaking through one's limits. Opportunities and fortune could only be encountered by chance. It was impossible for them to appear all the time. A 2-star crimson life was too far away from a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm. If Yixing could cultivate to the astral dipper realm with a 2-star crimson life talent because of his astrology, Yang Ba would be shocked. However, he would at least believe it a little. As for a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm, Yang Ba would never believe it. Yang Ba stared coldly at Yixing and said, "Kid, are you joking? A 2-star crimson life martial artist who became a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm at the age of 18? That's impossible. Hee hee." With that, Yang Ba chuckled and continued. However, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether your heavenly fate is high or low. It will be buried with you. It doesn't matter at all. Yang Ba's body emitted a scorching aura. It was as if there were flames burning in his body. His body turned red and emitted a faint fiery glow. He raised his hand and an upper-grade spiritual saber appeared in his hand. The saber shone brightly and burned with a layer of flames. Yang Ba's gaze was like a sword and his killing intent soared. The blazing flame gloves instantly appeared on Yixing's hands. Facing Yang Ba's oppressive aura, his expression was normal. Yixing smiled and said, "Are you stupid or an idiot? Since I knew you were following me, I didn't come to the Falling Star sect. Instead I came here. Why do you think I'll be the one to die? I purposely led you here. Don't tell me I can't kill you?" Yang Ba's expression froze. His violent aura calmed down. After thinking about it carefully, this was indeed a possibility. However, Yang Ba was very confident in his strength. Although he was inferior to the sect master of the Tianluo sect, his strength was in the upper tier among the 5 celestial enlightened masters. Yixing had just broken through to the astral realm 2 months ago. Yang Ba was only wary of the Tiangang sect behind Yixing. He didn't put Yixing in his eyes. After a slight hesitation, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yang Ba's aura surged again, and his killing intent locked onto Yixing. Yang Ba sneered and said, "You want to kill me? Haha. You don't have any helpers now. What right do you have to kill me?" Yixing's aura instantly erupted. He released the cultivation of a 2 celestial enlightened master. However, the terrifying aura he released was not weaker than a 2 celestial enlightened master. Yang Ba raised his eyebrows and his heart skipped a beat. 2 months ago, Yixing had broken through to the astral realm at the Young Hero competition. Now, he had broken through to the 2nd stage of the astral realm. This speed was too fast. Yixing's aura erupted. His black hair fluttered in the wind, revealing a terrifying aura that could sweep through heaven and earth. His eyes locked onto Yang Ba and he said, "Let me tell you a secret. Although my destiny was only a 2 celestial red destiny, I can devour other people's destiny for my own use. Your 4 celestial yellow destiny might be trash, but I can only make do with it." Devour destiny? Yang Ba was shocked. How could there be such a heaven-defying ability? Boom! While Yang Ba was still in shock, Yixing used the flaming dipper fist and threw a punch at him. Yixing's physical strength was not weaker than a 4 celestial enlightened master. Coupled with the flaming dipper fist at the greater mastery stage, the power was terrifying. Even a 5 celestial enlightened master like Yang Ba was shocked. He immediately recovered from the shock of learning that he could devour destiny. Explosive Flame Saber Technique. Yang Ba's explosive flame saber technique was also at the greater mastery stage. Moreover, his cultivation was extremely high. When he swung his saber, flames shot out and the power was shocking. Boom! The flaming dipper fist and the flaming dipper saber collided. The shockwave was monstrous, and the sound was deafening. Amidst the explosion, Yixing's body shook slightly. However, he did not retreat half a step. His strong physical body allowed him to withstand the impact of the powerful force. Yang Ba's body shook slightly as well. His eyes were filled with shock again. Yixing was only a 2 celestial enlightened master, but he was able to unleash strength that was on par with him. This was unbelievable. Explosive Flame Slash. Yang Ba shouted and immediately used his ultimate move. The power was multiplied as he continued to swing his saber at Yixing, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Yixing relied on his strong physical body to counter Yang Ba's attack. He also used his ultimate move. Their attacks collided again. The shockwave was like a tidal wave that rushed in all directions. Sand and stones flew everywhere. Trees were blown away. A layer of the earth was shaved off by the violent energy. This time, Yixing only took a step back. He was slightly at a disadvantage. However, his strong physical body was able to withstand the impact of his opponent's strength. He was unharmed. On the other hand, although Yang Ba had suppressed Yixing with his saber, he took a deep breath. He did not seem to be in a good condition. Whoosh! Yang Ba immediately used his astrology. Superior Astrology. Earth Fire Star. Yixing also used the Fire Astrology. It was one of the top advanced astrology. It was not weak. Boom! 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 With the help of the Fire Astrology, Yixing became more and more courageous as he fought. He turned around the slight disadvantage and was almost on par with Yang Ba. Originally, Yi Xing's strength was far from Yang Ba's. However, his strong physical body made up for this shortcoming. Moreover, with Yi Xing's superbrain scanning, he could always predict the opponent's moves. Although Yang Ba was a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master, he did not have the upper hand when fighting with Yi Xing, who was a 2 Celestial Enlightened Master. Fist auras danced in the air and saber auras crisscrossed. They kept colliding with each other, making explosive sounds. The speed was so fast that it was endless. Yi Xing and Yang Ba soon exchanged 50 moves. Yang Ba's face was full of anger. It was a disgrace to fight a 2 Celestial Enlightened Master to a draw. After 50 moves, Yang Ba suddenly roared, "Your strength is indeed beyond my expectation. It has shocked me. However, you still have to die." Along with Yang Ba's voice, a terrifying aura suddenly appeared. Yi Xing was stunned. Whoosh! A ray of dark starlight flew out. Yi Xing decisively used the black hole astrology. Darkness instantly shrouded the surroundings. At the same time, Yi Xing used the momentum of wind, the heavenly bat steps, and the azure cloud wings. He used all the methods that could increase his speed and shot to the side. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 shadows flashed across the void in the darkness. Then, there was an earth-shattering explosion. The place where Yi Xing was standing just now had a turbulent airwave. A hole with a radius of 100 meters was blasted open in the ground. The explosive energy was like a sharp blade that cut in all directions. It shrouded a radius of a few miles and crushed everything into pieces. It was a forbidden weapon. It was a forbidden weapon that could kill a mid-level enlightened master. Even a 6 Celestial Enlightened Master would not be able to withstand it. If they were to fight it head-on, they would be severely injured. A 4 Celestial Enlightened Master and a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master would definitely be killed instantly. Unfortunately, Yang Ba had underestimated Yi Xing's reaction and speed. He had also underestimated Yi Xing's speed. Suddenly, the surroundings were pitch black. Yang Ba was shocked. However, at the same time, he was also delighted. He should be blown to pieces now. Yang Ba thought to himself. He did not see Yi Xing dodging in the dark world. Whoosh! At this moment, a dazzling white light suddenly shot from afar. Sunfire Spear Art. Sun Chaser. Looking for a guaranteed ticket in June. Chapter 425. This spear shot out like a beam of sunlight. Its speed was so fast that it was hard to react. Even though Yang Ba was a 5-star true master, he was still shocked. That dazzling white light contained a scorching and terrifying aura, causing his hairs to stand on end as he felt a deep sense of impending death. Exploding Flame Cut. Yang Ba shouted out loud and immediately used the Exploding Flame Saber Art's peerless killing move. His strength erupted to the limit as he ruthlessly chopped down at the dazzling white light. However, compared to the speed of Yi Xing's spear, Yang Ba's Exploding Flame Cut was far too slow. The terrifying astral saber had just condensed when the black dragon spear brought with it the terrifying power of flames, ruthlessly piercing through. The astral saber collapsed, splashing everywhere. The black dragon spear's momentum didn't decrease. It shot forwards. The spear point flashed like a beam of light, instantly piercing into Yang Ba's throat. It entered from the front and exited from the back. Puff! Yi Xing instantly withdrew his spear and drew back. An arrow of blood shot out from Yang Ba's throat. Yang Ba covered his throat with both hands, unable to stop the blood from gushing out. He opened his mouth but no words came out. His eyes were filled with panic and unwillingness. After experiencing Yi Xing's terrifying combat strength, Yang Ba already understood that the East supporting sect's destruction wasn't because the Big Dipper sect had helped them from behind, but because Yi Xing had such strength himself. Now, Yi Xing could even kill a 5-star true master. Yang Ba had a premonition that the Sun-Moon sect's calamity wasn't far off. In just several breaths of time, Yang Ba collapsed to the ground. His eyes were wide open as he died, unable to rest in peace. Yi Xing arrived beside Yang Ba. His gaze locked onto the destiny flame in Yang Ba's mind. This was a yellow flame with 4 clusters of flames. Destiny Swallow. In the skies above, the black hole rapidly spun. The destiny flame in Yang Ba's mind was soon extinguished. But the destiny flame in Yixing's mind grew another cluster of flames, rising to a 4-star yellow fate. Yixing's cultivation was about to reach the limit of heaven's mandate, so an increase of 1 star could be considered a relief. However, a mere 4-star heaven's mandate wasn't a long-term solution. With Yixing's cultivation speed, it wouldn't take long for him to reach the limit of the heaven's mandate. Once the disciples of the Falling Star sect settle down, I'll have to go out and train. That way, I'll have a chance to encounter a higher level of heaven's will. Yixing thought to himself. With a wave of his hand, the star fire flew out and burned Yongba's body to ashes. Yixing had set up alarm formations dozens of miles away from the basin. If someone came, Yixing would know when they were dozens of miles away from the basin. To train in archery, Yixing had to use the Sagittarius constellation. Under the Sagittarius constellation's star power, the results would be twice the result with half the effort. The Sagittarius constellation wasn't a physical object, but an illusory aura. When it reached a certain distance, it couldn't be sensed or seen. Yixing had set up alarm formations dozens of miles away, so he could boldly use the Sagittarius constellation without worrying about being seen by others. If a cultivator came and couldn't sense the Sagittarius constellation's star power, they would be discovered by Yixing first. Regardless of whether it was Yixing's Heart's 4 transformations attainments in archery, the star power of the Sagittarius constellation, or the power of fire from the Minute Subtlety realm, they were all beneficial to the cultivation of the blazing arrow art, resulting in twice the results with half the effort. Therefore, Yixing's attainments in the blazing arrow art had increased by leaps and bounds. In just 2 days, Yixing's blazing arrow art had reached the minor completion stage. Yixing was overjoyed. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before he could cultivate the blazing arrow art to the great completion stage. With the help of the fire aura, its power would be even stronger than the 4 symbols arrow art at the perfection stage. The place where Yixing practiced archery was nearly 100 miles away from the Falling Star sect. At this moment, Yixing didn't know that there were a few uninvited guests outside the Falling Star sect. 4 black-robed cultivators were hiding in the shadows outside the Falling Star sect's formation, observing. The 4 of them had high cultivation. The leader was a 5-star sage, and the other 3 were 4-star sage. There were very few 4-star sage in the southern part of the Jianghu region. Obviously, these 4 people had come to the Falling Star sect for some purpose. There were 7 blood-red swords tattooed on the sleeves of the 4 black-robed cultivators. No one in the Jianghu region knew what these 7 blood-red swords meant. Even most of the true Xian domain's martial artists didn't understand. But if the important figures of the 9 upper sects saw it, they would be shocked. They knew the meaning of the 7 blood-red swords. Each blood-red sword represented slaughter. The 7 swords meant 7 kills. They represented a top 1-star force in the Jianghu region, the 7 Kill Alliance. The 7 Kill Alliance was not a sect, but an assassin organization. But it was enough to make all the 1-star sects tremble in fear. The Jianghu region was one of the 36 upper regions in the East Divine Continent. It was ruled by the Jianghu Empire, a 2-star force. There were many 1-star forces in the Jianghu region. Some of them were not weaker than the 9 upper sects of the true Xian domain. Some were even stronger. But they were all subjects of the Jianghu Empire and obeyed the orders of the Jianghu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was an assassin organization. It hid in the dark. Unlike the sects on the surface, they didn't listen to the orders of the Jianghu Empire. Moreover, the 7 Kill Alliance dared to assassinate the imperial family of the Jianghu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was the target of the Jianghu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was always in danger of being eradicated by the imperial family of the Jianghu Empire. But it still existed in the territory of the Jianghu Empire and developed for more than 1,000 years. From this, it could be seen that the 7 Kill Alliance was indeed extraordinary. Although the true Xian domain was close to the Jianghu region, the area of a region was too vast. The 7 Kill Alliance's sphere of influence had always been in the Jianghu region. They rarely did business outside the Jianghu region. But when there was business, the 7 Kill Alliance naturally wouldn't reject it. The reward for assassinating a target outside the Jianghu region would be higher. It would be 2 to 3 times the normal price. Yixing had broken through to the astral realm during the Young Hero Assembly. He was a 1-star sage, but his strength was almost invincible among the 3-star sages. He could be considered a 3-star sage. Young geniuses had amazing potential. When the 7-Kill Alliance wanted to assassinate young geniuses with great potential, they would raise the price by 1 level. In other words, Yi Xing had the strength of a 3-star sage, but the 7-Kill Alliance treated him as a 4-star sage and wanted to assassinate him as a 4-star sage. The true Xian domain was very far from the Green Feather region. The Green Cloud region where Yi Xing was located was a remote region of the true Xian domain. It was even further away from the true Xian domain. The 7-Kill Alliance accepted Shi Daotian's assassination mission at 3 times the price of assassinating a 4-star venerable. Because the distance was too far, the assassin sent out didn't have any backup. Therefore, the 7-Kill Alliance raised the price of the assassination by another level. According to the standard of assassinating a 5-star sage, they sent out 1 5-star sage and 3 4-star sage to assassinate Yi Xing outside Thane, a hidden place. A 4-star sage assassin said, "He's just a martial artist from an inferior 1-star sect. We'll forcefully break through the array, find Yi Xing, kill him, and then leave." The 5-star sage assassin stared coldly at the 4-star sage and said, "You idiot! I've told you to study array formations. It seems like you didn't study it at all. The array formation in front of us is a level 3 array formation with initial success. If you want to forcefully break through it, you're simply courting death. Even a 6-star sage wouldn't be able to break through it. An inferior 1-star sect actually has a level 3 array master." The 4-star sage who spoke earlier said in surprise, "Then what should we do? Are we supposed to wait outside and see when Yi Xing comes out?" A 4-star sage beside him said, "If Yi Xing doesn't come out, are we supposed to keep waiting? Moreover, it's still unknown whether Yi Xing is in the sect or not. If we blindly wait here, we'll be too lucky. Our mission is to kill Yi Xing. We can't fail. We're not here to try our luck." The last 4-star sage said, "If we knew that the defensive array of this inferior 1-star sect was a level 3 array formation with initial success, we would have sent a level 3 array master. Now, we're in a difficult situation." The 5-star sage said, "Let's investigate this sect first." The 4 of them left in the shadows. They came and went without a trace. The situation of the Falling Star sect was easy to investigate. The 4 7-Kill Alliance assassins soon found out that the Falling Star sect had been annihilated a few months ago. Then, there was a stronghold in the star crystal mine of the Azure Cloud Mountain. A sect stronghold will definitely not be protected by a minor success level 3 formation like a sect. Why don't we attack that stronghold and lure the snake out of its hole? Once Yi Xing is there, we can kill him. A 4-star sage suggested. The 5-star sage nodded in agreement. "Okay, we'll go there and you'll attack. The 3 of us will hide in the dark in case Yi Xing sees that we outnumber him and becomes timid and doesn't dare to show up." A pair of black wings appeared behind each of the 4 sages. It was a middle-grade flying spirit tool. They flew toward the Azure Cloud Mountain at the speed of light. At noon, Yi Xing, who was practicing the fiery arrow art, suddenly received a message from Gu Tianshang on his communication bead. A 4-star sage was attacking the array formation outside the star crystal mine. Outside the mine, Yi Xing had set up a level 3 array formation with initial success, the Yinyang Golden Light Array. The 4-star sage's attack couldn't break it at all. Yi Xing wasn't worried that something would happen to the mine. However, since a 4-star sage was invading the mine, Yi Xing naturally had to go and check it out. The Azure Cloud wings appeared behind Yi Xing's back. Yi Xing's speed exploded, and he flashed into the sky. In a flash, he was already 10 miles away. Yi Xing's astral energy was cultivated from the black star falling art. It could unleash the speed of the Azure Cloud wings, which was more than twice as fast as a middle-grade flying spirit tool. In just a little over 2 hours, Yi Xing arrived at the Azure Cloud Mountain range, not far from the star crystal mine. When he was dozens of miles away from the mine, Yi Xing looked into the distance and saw the 4-star sage attacking the array formation. Every time the 4-star sage attacked, a layer of golden light would appear outside the mine. The defensive power was so strong that the 4-star sage's attack couldn't shake it at all. Yi Xing put away the Azure Cloud wings and switched to the black feathered wings. He lowered his altitude and continued forward under the cover of the mountain peak. Chapter 426. Since the 4-star perfected person couldn't break the array formation, Yixing wasn't in a hurry to rush forward. Instead, he slowed down and used the mountain peaks as cover to advance stealthily. The Dongfu sect had been massacred by Yixing, and the 4-star perfected person, Watanabe Xiong, had lost his life. Everyone in the Qingyun region knew about this. Yixing was certain that the 4-star perfected person attacking the Yinyang Golden Light Array wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region. It was very strange that someone who wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region would attack the array formation outside the star crystal mine. What was even stranger was that the 4-star perfected person obviously couldn't break the Yinyang Golden Light Array. Logically speaking, he should have given up long ago. However, it had been more than 2 hours since Yixing had received Gu Tianshang's message and rushed over. The 4-star perfected person was still attacking the Yinyang Golden Light Array. This was too abnormal. Even if the 4-star perfected person had willpower, he shouldn't have used it in this aspect. Yixing didn't think that the 4-star perfected person was an idiot. He definitely had his reasons for doing so. Yixing was certain that the 4-star perfected person's goal wasn't to break the array formation, but for another reason. What would happen if the 4-star perfected person kept attacking the array formation? Yixing's mind was filled with thoughts. Very quickly, he had a flash of inspiration. He thought to himself, the result is me rushing over to the star crystal mine. Could the 4-star perfected person be attacking the array formation of the star crystal mine to lure me over? The more Yixing thought about it, the more he felt that it made sense. Furthermore, Yixing's thoughts changed and he started to speculate about the origins of the 4-star perfected person. Since he wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region, where did he come from? Yixing only had 2 sects in the True Xian region that could be considered enemies. One was the Earth Fiend sect, and the other was the Fire Cloud sect. The enmity with the Earth Fiend sect was because Yixing had killed the genius disciple of the Earth Fiend sect, Wuxia, during the Young Hero Assembly. There were 2 reasons for his feud with the Fire Cloud sect. Firstly, there was a conflict between Yixing and the Fire Cloud sect disciples, Shui Yan and Yan Lin. Secondly, there was a conflict between Yixing and the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao at the White Bone auction house over Lin Tongyu. This resulted in Yun Tianhao sending 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue Yixing. The 2 4-stars perfected persons that were pursuing Yixing were killed by He Biao. As for Wu Yu, he took responsibility for killing the 2 4-stars perfected persons. Furthermore, he promised Yixing that he would take care of the Fire Cloud sect. Yixing obviously believed Wu Yu's guarantee. Therefore, the Fire Cloud sect could be eliminated. Previously, Yun Tianhao had sent 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue Yixing, but both of them had died. It was impossible for the Fire Cloud sect to send another 4-star perfected persons to deal with him. It was illogical. If the 4-star perfected persons attacking the Duality Golden Array was an Earth Fiend sect warrior, Yixing would have his suspicions. If Wu Yu could even take care of the Fire Cloud sect, how could he not take care of the Earth Fiend sect? The Earth Fiend sect probably did not have the guts to go against Wu Yu. However, if this 4-star perfected persons did not come from the Fire Cloud sect or the Earth Fiend sect, where did they come from? Yixing could not think of any other enemy. He would occasionally think of the White Bone sect. The White Bone sect was a powerful sect that was on par with the Heavenly Dipper sect. However, the relationship between Yixing and the White Bone sect was at most not very good. There was no enmity between them. There was no reason for the White Bone sect to take the risk of becoming enemies with Wu Yu to deal with Yixing, who had no enmity with them. Therefore, Yixing could not figure out the 4-star perfected person's origins. The 4-star perfected persons were assassins from the 7 Kill Alliance, and the 7 Kill Alliance was an assassin organization in the Qingyu region. Yixing did not know, so he naturally could not figure it out. I don't care. Once I capture you alive, I'll be able to interrogate you about your origins. Yixing thought to himself, it's very easy to find out about me in the Qingyun region. Everyone knows what happened to the Dongfu sect. This 4-star perfected persons deliberately attacked me to lure me to the astral crystal mine. Clearly, he has something to rely on. Perhaps he has helpers. Yixing looked into the distance, saw through things, and scanned with his superbrain as he searched. When Yixing was only about 10 kilometers away from the astral crystal mine, he discovered the other 3 perfected persons hiding in ambush. It was a shadowy area with dense trees. There was not enough light to begin with, and the 3 perfected persons were dressed in black robes that blended into the darkness. Even if he scanned the area, he would not be able to discover them. However, under Yi Xing's superbrain scan, the three of them were clearly visible. The three of them were lying in ambush. Only one 4-star perfected person was attacking the Yin-Yang Golden Light Formation, which attracted Yi Xing's attention. The three of them secretly attacked. Even if their target was a 4-star perfected person, with their assassination skills, they could kill him instantly. However, they did not expect that Yi Xing would not charge at them recklessly just because the astral crystal mine was under attack. Instead, he calmly approached them and discovered them first. This did not mean that the three perfected persons were not good at hiding as assassins. In fact, even a 4-star perfected persons would not be able to discover them if they searched carefully. However, their opponent was Yi Xing. Under the superbrain scan, hiding was futile. Even if the three of them hid very well, even if they were buried in the soil and could not be seen, they could not escape Yi Xing's superbrain scan. I see. 1 4-star perfected persons and 3 4-star perfected persons. What a powerful team. If I fly over and get ambushed by the three of them, I might actually be killed. Unfortunately, under the superbrain scan, you have nowhere to hide. Since you want to ambush me, then have a taste of my ambush. Yi Xing snorted coldly in his heart. He used the power of darkness, and his entire body was shrouded in a dark aura. He blended into the shadows of the mountain, and his camouflage was even better than the assassins. Not long after, Yi Xing arrived at a mountain opposite the mountain where the three adepts were hiding. He was only 4 to 5 li away from the three adepts. Yi Xing's effective shooting range was more than 10 kilometers. He could reach them in the blink of an eye. 4 to 5 kilometers could be shot in less than half a blink of an eye. At such a close distance, Yi Xing believed that the three of them would not be able to react in time. Yi Xing drew the bowstring. He did not use his astrology to avoid alerting them, but he used 3 different powers of heaven and earth. The power of wind increased the arrow's speed. The power of fire increased the arrow's power. The power of darkness concealed the arrow's aura. Before it was shot, it was difficult to sense it. The tip of the arrow was aimed at the 4-star perfected persons. Yi Xing said in his heart, "Have a taste of my ambush." Whoosh! In an instant, Yi Xing released the bowstring. The arrow shot out and turned into a giant azure dragon. Azure dragon arrow style. A dragon's roar sounded. The azure dragon rushed across several kilometers and pounced at the 3 perfected persons' hiding place. In the blink of an eye, the arrow left the bowstring and turned into an azure dragon. It flew across several kilometers in less than half a blink of an eye. When the arrow left the bowstring, the 3 perfected persons felt the sharp aura of the arrow. Their hearts trembled. Before they could defend themselves, they were hit by the azure dragon's shadow. The 2 4-star perfected persons were fine. They were only hit by the azure dragon's shadow and did not receive any substantial damage. However, the 4-star perfected persons was hit by the arrow. The purple gold arrow instantly shot into the chest of the 4-star perfected persons. A terrifying power exploded in his body, shattering his meridians and organs. The 4-star perfected persons wanted to activate their astral defense. However, before they could activate their astral defense, the arrow had already pierced through his chest. The intense pain caused the astral defense to dissipate. Whoosh! The body of the 4-star perfected persons was pushed back several dozen meters by the arrow. Then, he was nailed to a large tree that was thicker than an adult's body. If the 4-star perfected persons were prepared, he could easily deflect the arrow with his strength. However, as he was ambushed, he could not react in time. His body was hit by the arrow and he suffered a fatal injury. He was nailed to the tree trunk and let out a miserable cry. As his injuries were too severe, he could not activate the astral defense in his body. His body was nailed to the tree trunk by the arrow and he could not move. This sudden change frightened the 2 4-star perfected persons. Even the 4-star perfected persons who attacked the Yin-Yang Golden Light Formation was shocked by the 4-star perfected person's miserable cry. The 4-star perfected persons who attacked the formation shouted, "What's going on?" Whoosh! What answered him was an arrow that was as fast as light. It was like a white tiger pouncing on empty air. The 4-star perfected persons were horrified. In a flash, he moved more than 1,000 meters to dodge the arrow. However, the arrow turned in the air and chased after him in an instant. The The 4-star perfected person's movement techniques were very good. In the blink of an eye, they changed directions 4 times. However, the arrow also changed directions 4 times in a row in the void and was still aimed at the 4-star perfected person's body. The 4-star perfected persons could not escape. In a hurry, they turned around and punched the arrow. Yixing shot the arrow with all his strength. Even if he did not use his astrology, it was not something a 4-star perfected persons could resist. Moreover, this was just a hasty attack from a 4-star perfected persons. The astral fist exploded. The arrow flashed past and pierced through the 4-star perfected person's throat. The 4-star perfected persons died before they could even scream. At this moment, the 2 4-star perfected persons who were hiding in the forest rushed out like frightened birds. They could no longer care about the severely injured 4-star perfected persons who were nailed to the tree trunk. They flapped their black wings and quickly fled into the distance. Yixing did not move from his original position. He drew his bow again and shot another arrow. Yixing's shooting range was more than 10 miles. The opponents could not escape from his grasp. 2 arrows were shot consecutively. The 2 4-star perfected persons who were fleeing were like wild geese that were shot. They immediately fell from the sky and lost their lives. The 3 4-star perfected persons were all killed. Only the 4-star perfected persons was left. He was severely injured and nailed to the tree trunk, unable to move. Whoosh! Yixing flew across the sky and quickly landed in front of the 4-star perfected persons. He looked at them coldly and said, "Who are you? Who sent you to kill me? Tell me and I will give you a quick death." The 4-star perfected persons looked at Yixing. His eyes were full of shock and disbelief. He said, "I did not expect that the target of this assassination is more like an assassin than us. I really did not expect this." As he spoke, black blood flowed out from the corners of his mouth. His body twitched. He had consumed poison and died. Chapter 427. Catch up on the 9th update. The 7-Kill League was able to survive in the Jianghu region for more than 1,000 years because they had a strict system. No assassin was allowed to leak any information about the 7-Kill League. Every assassin had a pill in their mouth that contained deadly poison. If they were captured alive, they would bite the pill and take the poison to kill themselves. As a result, no one was able to obtain information about the 7-Kill League and no one knew where the headquarters of the 7-Kill League was. This was the reason why the 7-Kill League was able to survive. The assassin's suicide by taking poison was out of Yixing's expectations. Yixing sighed helplessly. If he had known earlier, he would not have asked. Instead, he would have sealed the assassin's acupoints so that he could not move. Then, he would not have needed to ask. Yixing used his eye of clear cloud and used his mind power to forcefully penetrate the assassin's mind to search for information. Although this would destroy the assassin's mind and the information obtained would not be complete, it was still better than not getting anything at all. Yixing moved the corpses of the 4 perfected persons together. Naturally, Yixing noticed that there were 7 small blood-red swords on their sleeves. The 4 of them have 7 small blood-red swords on their sleeves. This should be a clue. Perhaps it represents their identities. The 4 of them each have a medium-grade flying spiritual weapon. A medium-grade flying spiritual weapon is worth at least 20,000 medium-grade star crystals. None of the medium-grade perfected persons from the 9 upper sects have a medium-grade flying spiritual weapon. Could it be that the 4 of them are not martial artists from the true Xian domain? Yixing frowned slightly and was surprised. The 4 perfected persons were most likely not martial artists from the true Xian domain. However, Yixing had never left the true Xian domain. Even when he left the Qingyun region, he had only gone to the 9 Heaven City once. There was no way that he could have offended martial artists from outside the true Xian domain. If they are martial artists from outside the true Xian domain, they might be assassins hired by someone to kill me. That's right. The 5-star perfected persons said that they were more like assassins than us. It seems that they are indeed assassins. This makes sense. Someone wants me dead, but they don't dare to openly go against Wu Yu. Therefore, they invited assassins from outside the true Xian region to kill me. If I was killed, Wu Yu would only be able to find the assassins from other regions. Although Wu Yu has a very high position in the true Xian domain, he doesn't have much of a deterrent force in other regions. It would be difficult for him to find the real culprit behind my death. If someone hired an assassin to kill me, be it the Earth Fiend sect or the Fire Cloud sect, they are all suspects. Yi Xing's superbrain was powerful, and it worked very quickly. He thought about it carefully and figured out what had happened. Yi Xing collected the 4 Enlightened Masters' mid-grade storage rings and mid-grade air transportation spiritual tools. Then, he waved his hand, sending out starfire that enveloped the 4 corpses and set them ablaze. Looking at the 4 burning corpses, Yi Xing's eyes narrowed and glowed. He murmured, "Hired assassins to take my life? One day, I will get to the bottom of this. No matter who the real culprit is, you are all dead." Soon, the 4 corpses turned into ashes. Yi Xing entered the Star Crystal Mine and met Gu Tianxiang. After Yi Xing destroyed the Dongfu sect, Hua Tianfeng and Lin Tongyu led some martial artists back to the Falling Star sect. Gu Tianxiang continued to guard the Star Crystal Mine. Yi Xing told Gu Tianxiang about the 4 enlightened masters he had just killed. He had already guessed their origins, and Gu Tianxiang was shocked. He couldn't believe that Yi Xing had just returned, and now, even a 5-star enlightened master had died in Yi Xing's hands. Of course, Gu Tianxiang was more worried about the origins of these assassins. Gu Tianxiang said, "I don't know about the outside world, but the true Xian domain doesn't have such a powerful assassin organization that could send 4 mid-grade enlightened masters to kill you. Moreover, each of them has a mid-grade flying spiritual artifact. They must be martial artists from other regions. The star continent is very big, and there are many experts in the outside world. There are even venerables and kings. Yi Xing, when you encounter something, you have to be cautious. When the star crystal lode was attacked, you didn't rush in recklessly. Instead, you calmly approached and ambushed those assassins. This is the function of being cautious. You have to be careful at all times." Yi Xing nodded and said, "I will. Elder Gu, how is the mining of the Star Crystal Mine going?" Gu Tianxiang said, "We are almost done. We have finished mining the low-grade astral crystals. We have a total of 23 million astral crystals. The middle-grade astral crystals should be finished in 3 to 5 days. We have a total of 1 million astral crystals." Yi Xing said, "I will practice my archery in the next few days near the Star Crystal Mine. When the mining is finished, everyone will return to the sect. I will destroy this place so that no one will find out." In the next few days, Gu Tianxiang sped up the mining process, traveling day and night. Outside the Star Crystal Mine was the Azure Cloud Mountain Range. There were many open areas, which were suitable for Yi Xing to practice his exterminating flame archery. 3 days passed in a hurry. When the mining of mid-grade Star Crystal Mine was finally finished, Yi Xing's exterminating flame archery improved by leaps and bounds. Yi Xing obtained 5 mid-grade storage rings from Yang Ba and the 4 assassins. The storage space of a mid-grade storage ring was about 10 times larger than that of a low-grade storage ring. No matter what grade of star crystal it was, its volume was the same. A low-grade storage ring could store about 200,000, while a mid-grade storage ring could store about 2 million. Yi Xing had a total of 7 mid-grade storage rings. One was the Falling Star Sect Master's ring, one was from Gu Feiyang, and the other 5 were from Yang Ba and the 4 assassins. The millions of medium-grade star crystals that Yi Xing had extracted were stored in the medium-grade storage ring that he had used to store the medium-grade star crystals. The other 6 medium-grade storage rings contained 12 million low-grade star crystals. Yi Xing had a lot of low-grade storage rings, about a dozen of them. He organized his belongings into a few low-grade storage rings and put the rest of them into low-grade star crystals, which added up to 6 million low-grade star crystals. There were still millions of low-grade star crystals left, which could not be stored. They could only continue to be stored in the underground treasury of this stronghold. After all, there were formations protecting it. Yi Xing set up a large number of self-destructing formations in the depths of the Star Crystal Mine, destroying the mine. Then, led by Yi Xing, all the people in the stronghold returned to the Falling Star sect on the silver-winged demonic condors and 2 red flame-flying lions. After Yi Xing rebuilt the sect, although Hua Tianfeng and Lin Tongyu led some cultivators back to there were very few of them. The place was very big, so it always seemed cold and cheerless. Now that everyone in the Star Crystal Mine had returned, the place was livelier. However, it still could not be compared to before. After returning to the sect, Yi Xing received another piece of good news. The group of Falling Star sect disciples had already entered the Falling Star Nation and would reach the Falling Star sect the next day. The next day, Wu Mingyi led close to 200 Falling Star sect disciples to the Falling Star sect. There were also 2 3-star venerables from the Tianluo sect. Yi Xing opened the formation door and led everyone to the foot of the mountain to receive the group. These disciples were the elites of the Falling Star sect. Many of them were high-grade martial sages and would become marquises in the future. If they were lucky, some of them might even become venerables. After sending the Falling Star sect disciples to the sect, Xianxia and Yang Tongji rested for a while before bidding farewell to Yi Xing. They had not returned to the sect yet. Although they had been escorting the disciples of the Falling Star sect for almost 3 months, the two of them were in a good mood. Firstly, they had improved their relationship with the Falling Star sect. Secondly, they had traveled together with Wu Mingyi. They were both enlightened masters, so they had little to talk about with the disciples of the Falling Star sect. Over time they became friends. The Tianluo sect was a powerful force in the Qingyun district, but it was not worth mentioning in front of the Tiangang sect. No one in the sect was related to the Tiangang sect. Now, Xianxia and Yang Tongji had become friends with Wu Mingyi. This was great news for the Tianluo sect and for themselves. At least, their status in the Tianluo sect would change greatly. Even 4-star venerables might not be as important as them. In the future, their words would have a lot of weight in the sect. That night, Yi Xing and Wu Mingyi had a drink to thank Wu Mingyi for escorting them. After 30 minutes of drinking, Yi Xing asked Wu Mingyi, "Brother Wu, there was a man wearing a black robe with 7 blood-red swords embroidered on his sleeves. Do you know where he came from?" Wu Mingyi was stunned. He asked in surprise, "Why do you ask, Lord Yi? Have you met him before?" Yi Xing nodded and told Wu Mingyi about how he killed the 4 assassins. Wu Mingyi sucked in a breath of cold air and said, "Young Master Yi, this is incredible. This is big trouble. There are 7 small blood-red swords on his sleeves. This is the symbol of the 7 Kill Alliance, an assassin organization in the Green Feather region." Yi Xing raised his eyebrows. "Qingyu District's 7 Kill Alliance?" Wu Mingyi nodded. "That's right. The 7 Kill Alliance is one of the top assassins in the 1-star forces. Any 1-star sect is wary of them. Most of the cultivators they've assassinated were Astral Realm cultivators. They've even assassinated half-step Honorable Realm experts." So powerful? Yi Xing was stunned. This assassin organization was much more powerful than he had imagined. Wu Mingyi said, "The Qingyu district is ruled by the Qingyu Empire. Even the Qingyu Empire wants to eliminate the 7 Kill Alliance, but the 7 Kill Alliance still exists. Of course they are powerful. Even the imperial family of the Qingyu Empire was assassinated by the 7 Kill Alliance." Although Yi Xing was surprised by the strength of the 7 Kill Alliance, he was not afraid. Soon, his expression returned to normal and he said indifferently, "They failed the first time and the assassins they sent were all killed. Will the assassination be stopped or will there be a second time?" Wu Mingyi said, "The 7 Kill Alliance can survive for a long time because they are strong, secretive, and trustworthy. They will definitely complete the mission they accept. Even if they fail the first time, there will be a second and third time. They will only give up if they fail all 3 times and return the reward to the customer. Therefore, whether it is to avenge the assassins who failed the first time, to maintain the reputation of the 7 Kill Alliance, or for the success of their business, they will definitely do it again." End of 4th update. Looking for guaranteed monthly votes. Chapter 428. Since this matter involved the 7 Kill Alliance, Wu Mingyi couldn't help but feel uneasy. The 7 Kill Alliance had sent a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master the first time. If they were to send a second time, they would send at least a 6 Celestial Enlightened Master. Since the Green Cloud region was far away from the 7 Kill Alliance's territory, they might send a 7th-stage Astral Realm cultivator just to be safe. Wu Mingyi was a 6 Celestial Enlightened Master. If the 7 Kill Alliance sent 2 6 Celestial Enlightened Masters, it would be difficult for him to deal with them, let alone a 7th-stage Astral Realm cultivator. Therefore, Wu Mingyi immediately sent someone to invite the Heavenly Luo Sect's 3-star Enlightened Master, Xianxia, to the 9 Heaven City to inform Wu Yu. Only the arrival of Wu Yu could ensure the safety of Yi Xing and the Falling Star sect. Yi Xing planned to go out and train after the Falling Star sect's disciples returned. With the threat of the Seven Kill Alliance, Yi Xing was worried about the sect's safety, so he wasn't in a hurry to leave. The Seven Kill Alliance is powerful. If I go out and train, I will have to hide my whereabouts. If the Seven Kill Alliance's assassins don't get any news of me, they will definitely think that I'm in the sect. Therefore, I must protect the Falling Star sect. I have to comprehend all of Venerable Azure Cloud's array knowledge and become a third-grade array grandmaster. Once I've completed the third-grade array formation outside even if Venerable Master comes, he won't be able to do anything to the Falling Star sect. Yi Xing thought to himself. Every day, Yi Xing practiced the blazing arrow art and comprehended the array Dao. Of course, he didn't stop cultivating. When Xianxia went to the Nine-Heaven City, Yi Xing gave him a large amount of astral crystals and asked him to buy pills suitable for celestial vortex realm cultivators to increase the strength of the Falling Star sect's disciples. Moreover, the Falling Star sect was the only sect left in the southern region of the Green Cloud region. The Falling Star sect was recruiting talented disciples in the southern region to strengthen the Falling Star sect's younger generation. A few days after Xianxia left, another guest came to the Falling Star sect. The genius disciple of the Golden Sword sect, Mu Xiaoyue, had arrived at the Falling Star sect. Accompanying him was a 6-star enlightened being of the Golden Sword sect, Mu Qiuheng. Mu Xiaoyue had lost to Yi Xing at the Young Hero Assembly, but he was not convinced. He had said that he would fight with Yi Xing again in 3 months. Yi Xing didn't take this 3-month agreement to heart, but Mu Xiaoyue did. He wanted to defeat Yi Xing and prove to all the martial artists in the Truxian domain that he, Mu Xiaoyue, was the #1 genius of the Truxian domain and the #1 of the younger generation in the Truxian domain. Yi Xing. Come out and fight me. Come out and fight me. Fight me. Mu Xiaoyue stood outside the Falling Star sect and channeled his astral energy. He let out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens. Yi Xing was in the middle of comprehending the formation in the sect. Hearing this, his eyes widened and he stood up. It had been more than 3 months since the Young Hero Assembly ended. Since Mu Xiaoyue had come to fulfill the 3-month agreement, he must be stronger than he was 3 months ago. Yi Xing guessed that Mu Xiaoyue had already broken through to the 2nd level of the Astral Star Realm. Therefore, his voice was filled with confidence, as if he was certain that he would win. Yi Xing quickly arrived at the mountain gate. The other martial artists of the Falling Star sect had also heard Mu Xiaoyue's voice and rushed to the Falling Star Peak. Yi Xing opened the formation door and let Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng in. Mu Xiaoyue flapped his wings and flew to the center of the square in front of the Falling Star Hall. His eyes were like swords as they swept towards Yi Xing. Mu Xiaoyue released his cultivation and yelled, "Come! Today, I will take revenge for my defeat 3 months ago. Yi Xing with me, Mu Xiaoyue, here, you can only be second." Mu Xiaoyue released the aura of the 2nd stage of the astral realm. He was indeed a 2-star enlightened being. Yi Xing flew into the square and landed in front of Mu Xiaoyue. He also released his cultivation and said, "Mu Xiaoyue, you are too arrogant. Mu Xiaoyue, you're overconfident. You're not the only one who made a breakthrough in cultivation. I defeated you 3 months ago, and I can defeat you again today. The gap between us will only grow bigger and bigger." Mu Xiaoyue was shocked. Outside the square, the 6-star enlightened being, Mu Qiuheng, also narrowed his eyes. Both of them were in disbelief. In the Young Hero Assembly 3 months ago, Yi Xing had broken through to the astral realm and became a 1-star enlightened being. Now, only 3 months had passed, and he had broken through again to become a 2-star enlightened being. In the astral realm, he had broken through a realm in less than 3 months. This was too frightening. Mu Xiaoyue's cultivation talent was very high. 3 months before the Young Hero Assembly, he had broken through to the astral realm and became a 1-star enlightened being. After the Young Hero Assembly, Mu Xiaoyue took another 2 months to break through to the 2-star enlightened being. It took him 5 months to break through from the 1st stage of the astral realm to the 2nd stage. This kind of cultivation speed was far beyond ordinary people, and even the other genius martial artists. However, it was still not enough in front of Yi Xing. Mu Xiaoyue's heart was slightly shaken. Then his eyes flashed, and his sword heart destroyed the negative emotions. Looking at Yi Xing in front of him, Mu Xiaoyue's expression became serious, but he was still unwilling to admit defeat. When you were a 1-star enlightened being, you barely beat me. Now that we are both 2-star enlightened beings, you may not be able to beat me. My golden dragon sword art has reached greater completion, and it is even more powerful than the transformative golden sword art. Let's see how you block it. While speaking, Mu Xiaoyue raised his hand, and the upper-grade spiritual weapon on his back flew into his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying aura of sharpness erupted from his body. In the air above Mu Xiaoyue, the sharp aura even condensed into a huge sword of nothingness. It pierced straight into the sky, cutting the clouds in the sky in half. That sharp aura made all the martial artists on the falling star peak tremble in fear. Yi Xing put on the upper-grade spiritual weapon, the blazing flame gloves. His expression was indifferent, and Mu Xiaoyue's sharp aura did not affect him in the slightest. Yi Xing's posture was like a mountain, and he was as immovable as a mountain. He said, "It seems that if I don't defeat you again, your heart will always be filled with fantasies. In the past 3 months, my strength has also improved. Bring it on. If you can force me back even 1 step, I will admit defeat." On the falling star peak, all of the martial artists were staring at Yi Xing and Mu Xiaoyue. These two were the most monstrous geniuses of the true Xian region. Once again, victory and defeat would be decided. When they were 1-star enlightened being, Yi Xing was better. Now, when they were 2-star enlightened being, who was stronger and who was weaker? Mu Xiaoyue was also a peerless genius of the true Xian domain that was rarely seen in thousands of years. Would he be able to make a comeback in this battle? Mu Xiaoyue knew that Yi Xing was strong, so he didn't dare to underestimate him. He immediately used his astrology, and a bright golden star floated in the air. Yi Xing also used his flame astrology. With Yi Xing's strength, even if he didn't use his astrology, he could still fight against Mu Xiaoyue. However, Yi Xing didn't want to fight slowly with Mu Xiaoyue. Instead, he wanted to use a thunderous momentum to let his opponent know the difference between them. "Divine Dragon goes to sea!" Mu Xiaoyue shouted. He slashed out with his sword, and a sword aura flashed. In an instant, the air in front of him tumbled like waves. That sword aura instantly turned into a golden dragon. It broke through the air and rushed towards Yi Xing. The golden dragon shined with a golden light. Every part of its body was covered with a sharp sword aura, revealing a terrifying aura. Before the golden dragon arrived, the sword aura was already 1 step ahead. The wind around Yi Xing was howling, and there were even sounds of air being cut apart. However, Yi Xing was as immovable as a mountain. His body seemed to be surrounded by a powerful aura. He wasn't affected by the sword aura at all. His clothes didn't move, and his hair didn't flutter. Facing the roaring golden dragon sword aura, Yi Xing's expression was calm. When the golden dragon sword aura arrived in front of him, Yi Xing punched out, pressing down, condensing flames into astral energy. This punch contained the power of flames, the power of the flame astral energy, and the power of the flame astrology. All of these were condensed into the astral energy fist, and it accurately smashed into the golden dragon's head. Bang! The golden dragon suddenly shook. Yi Xing's punch smashed it into the ground. Yi Xing's fist pressed down on the golden dragon's head like a mountain. The golden dragon's body struggled, but its head was still pressed down by Yi Xing's fist. On the ground of the square, where the golden dragon touched, countless sword scars appeared in the blink of an eye. From this, one could see how sharp and terrifying the golden dragon's sword aura was. But even so, he was still suppressed by Yi Xing's punch until he could not turn over. Yi Xing's strength made the martial artists even more shocked. Mu Xiaoyue's forehead was dripping with sweat. He tried his best to stimulate the sword aura, but to no avail. In the end, he could only disperse this move. In an instant, he waved his high-grade spirit weapon, displaying an even more powerful sword move. "Dragon soars in the sky!" Mu Xiaoyue roared. The sword aura exploded, turning into a golden dragon that soared into the sky. The golden dragon was larger than before, and it was clearly more powerful. It soared 100 meters into the air before diving down at Yi Xing, attacking from above. Yi Xing could forget about pressing the golden dragon sword aura to the ground again. Moreover, the golden dragon sword aura carried with it a diving force. If Yi Xing wanted to receive this move without taking a single step back, it would be extremely difficult. In the face of this attack, Yixing's expression remained calm. However, the aura on his body suddenly erupted, and his might grew even stronger. Astral shattering the heavens. Yixing welcomed the golden dragon sword aura and punched out. In an instant, a flaming astral fist bloomed, exploding upon contact with the golden dragon sword aura. Bang! The sound shook the heavens and the earth. Shockwaves formed, terrifying shockwaves that blew out in all directions. Outside the square, some martial artists with low cultivations were forced back again and again by the shockwaves, unable to stand firm. With a loud explosion, the golden dragon sword aura collapsed layer by layer, disappearing into nothingness. Yixing had not taken a single step back and had broken through this move. Some of the Falling Star sect disciples couldn't help but cheer. Mu Xiaoyue's complexion was ugly. He had come to the Falling Star sect to defeat Yixing. But now, he couldn't even force Yixing back by a single step. This was unacceptable to him. Mu Xiaoyue crazily swung the astral stars. Astral sword aura condensed within his body, emitting the sound of metal striking metal. His aura suddenly soared, becoming wild and violent. Mu Xiaoyue's eyes widened. His body no longer had that elegant and refined temperament, only a wild and violent aura. Mu Xiaoyue loudly shouted, "Receive my finishing move, leaderless dragons." Xiao 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 xiao. Mu Xiaoyue slashed out with his sword. The sound of metal striking metal increased by 100 times. In the blink of an eye, countless golden dragon sword auras rushed out. Chapter 429. Each of these golden dragon swords was only 3 meters long, but there were hundreds of them, and all of them were charging toward Yixing. This move was called leaderless dragons. Leaderless dragons meant that they were like a sheet of loose sand, without any order. These golden dragon swords weaved together in an incomparably chaotic manner as they attacked Yixing. If it were an ordinary person, they would not be able to see through the attack trajectory of this move. This was because this move's specialty was that it was chaotic and unblockable. In the face of this move, it did not matter if one was stronger than Mu Xiaoyue, they would still have to retreat and avoid it for the time being. Mu Xiaoyue knew that Yixing's speed was extremely fast. If Yixing dodged with all his strength, this leaderless dragons might not be able to hurt him. With the strength that Yixing had displayed before, Mu Xiaoyue was naturally more likely to lose this battle than win. However, even if he lost, Mu Xiaoyue would still force Yixing back. He absolutely did not believe that he could not even force Yixing back by a single step. However, Yixing did not retreat in the face of this move. Instead, his expression became more serious, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Other martial artists could not see the attack trajectory of this move, but Yixing was an exception. Under the scan of the superbrain, even though the chaotic golden dragon swords weaved together in a chaotic manner, Yixing could still clearly see the attack trajectory of each of the swords. Fire burns the 9 heavens. Yixing shouted as he used one of the flaming astral fists group attack moves. Yixing quickly threw out punch after punch. In the blink of an eye, who knew how many punches he had thrown out? The dense flaming astral fists overlapped with each other. Seeing that Yixing did not dodge and instead chose to face the attacks head-on, Mu Xiaoyue's expression suddenly turned to pleasant surprise. He knew very well that this move was like a headless dragon. When the energy swords attacked, their trajectories were chaotic. Even he did not know the trajectory of each energy sword. He was only certain that each energy sword would hit its target. Mu Xiaoyue didn't believe that Yixing could block all of the golden dragon sword astral swords. He was well aware of the power of his move. If Yixing was hit by the golden dragon sword astral swords, he would be severely injured. In that case, the winner of this battle would be Mu Xiaoyue. Boom 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 boom. The flaming energy fist collided with the golden dragon sword energy, and a series of loud booms rang out in the air. On the fallen star peak, all the warriors widened their eyes and stared at the square. The scene of this fight was too complicated. The fist and sword collided and exploded. Astral chi filled the air in all directions. A radius of several dozen meters around Yixing was engulfed by surging waves of stellar energy. Outsiders could not see what was happening within the waves of stellar energy. The number of densely packed golden dragon sword astral swords was simply too great. Had Yi Xing blocked them all or not? The Falling Star sect warriors naturally had absolute confidence in their sovereign, Yi Xing. They believed that Yi Xing had blocked them all. As for Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng, they were well aware of the terror of a headless dragon. They believed that Yi Xing had not been able to block them all. The fierce sounds of collisions only lasted for a moment. Besides the surging waves of stellar energy, everything quieted down. The Falling Star sect warriors all stared at Yi Xing's position, waiting for the surging waves of stellar energy to dissipate. Mu Xiaoyue's lips curled up, revealing a victorious smile. Mu Xiaoyue threw his sword back into the scabbard on his back. The smile on his face grew wider as he said, "Yi Xing, you." However, before the word defeat could leave his mouth, the surging waves of stellar energy had already dissipated. Yi Xing's figure was revealed, completely unharmed. Yi Xing was still standing where he was. His legs were rooted to the ground as if they had grown roots. His posture was like a mountain, unmoving like a mountain. He had not taken even half a step back. You're not injured?" Mu Xiaoyue's smile froze on his face as his expression turned to one of shock. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Impossible! How could you block a headless dragon? This is impossible." At the edge of the square, Mu Qiuheng's face was also filled with shock. A headless dragon, chaotic stellar energy, and unstoppable stellar energy. How could Yi Xing have accurately blocked every stellar energy? In contrast to Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng's shock, the Falling Star sect warriors were all in a good mood. They did not care how difficult this move was to block. They only knew that Yi Xing had blocked it. Yi Xing's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, "I already said that the gap between us will only continue to grow. You've attacked me 3 times. Do you dare to receive one of my moves?" Although Mu Xiaoyue was shocked by Yi Xing's strength, he was also very confident in his own strength. He had attacked Yi Xing 3 times in a row, but he was still unable to force Yi Xing back a single step. He already felt extremely embarrassed, so how could he not dare to receive one of Yi Xing's moves? Mu Xiaoyue coldly snorted. With a wave of his hand, the high-grade spirit artifact sword on his back once again flew into his hand. "Not to mention one move, even if I receive 10 moves from you, it's still not a problem." Mu Xiaoyue did not dare to say that he would not retreat a single step in the face of Yi Xing's attacks. However, he was still confident that he could receive 10 moves from Yi Xing. Yi Xing shook his head and said, "I don't need 10 moves. To defeat you, 1 move is enough." Tiger roar and dragon roar. As soon as Yi Xing's voice fell, he took a step forward and punched out, displaying the ultimate move of the flaming dipper fist. In an instant, there was a loud boom as the air exploded. A fire dragon and a fire tiger appeared beside Yi Xing's fist. The sound of a dragon's roar shook the heavens. When the martial artists heard this, they were all shocked. This fist contained the power of a dragon and a tiger. It was terrifying to the extreme, and its power was unstoppable. Divine Dragon goes to sea. When Yi Xing punched out, Mu Xiaoyue circulated his astral energy to the limit. His strength erupted as he slashed out with his sword. The sword energy exploded, turning into a huge golden dragon that pounced towards Yi Xing. Mu Xiaoyue did not believe that Yi Xing's move could break his golden dragon sword energy and defeat him. Boom! The fire dragon and fire tiger merged into the flaming fist and collided with the golden dragon sword energy. A loud explosion shook the heavens. A shocking scene appeared. The golden dragon sword energy was instantly shattered and the dragon body shattered. However, Yi Xing's fist continued forward, unstoppable. The speed of this fist was too fast, almost surpassing the speed of sound, causing the air to explode. The air in front of Mu Xiaoyue and the shattered dragon body were affected by the force of the fist. Arcs of ripples formed, but in the blink of an eye, they were caught up by the fist from behind. In the blink of an eye, countless arcs of ripples were caught up by the fist and shattered. By the time Mu Xiaoyue reacted, Yi Xing's fist had already slammed into the high-grade spirit artifact treasure sword in his hand. Clang! The treasure sword trembled and bent like a crescent moon. It was instantly sent flying. At the same time, Mu Xiaoyue's body also shot backwards. In an instant, he retreated out of the square and landed several hundred meters away. After landing, Mu Xiaoyue cried out and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and his injuries were not light. Mu Xiaoyue's cultivation was not very stable after breaking through to become a 2-star sage. Although he had cultivated the Golden Dragon Sword technique to greater success, his strength was only at the upper level among 4-star sages. He was still a bit away from the top. Yi Xing's full-strength punch in the state of the Flaming Star was something that even a top 4-star sage would not be able to withstand, let alone Mu Xiaoyue. Naturally, he was sent flying by Yi Xing's punch and suffered heavy injuries. The martial artists of the Falling Star sect forgot to cheer. They were all shocked by the terrifying power of Yi Xing's punch. They looked at Yi Xing with admiration and reverence. They could not help but fantasize in their hearts. How great would it be if I could be this powerful one day? Xiaoyue! Mu Qiuheng cried out in alarm the moment Mu Xiaoyue was sent flying. He immediately rushed to Mu Xiaoyue's side. Mu Xiaoyue stopped Mu Qiuheng from helping him and got up by himself. Mu Qiuheng saw Mu Xiaoyue's body stagger, almost falling to the ground as he tried to crawl back up. He immediately roared at Yi Xing. Yi Xing, you've got guts, you actually dared to use such a vicious move. Yi Xing chuckled and said, if you were afraid of losing, why did you come all the way to the Falling Star sect to fight with me? Isn't it beautiful to fantasize about being the best in the world in the Golden Sword sect? You! Mu Qiuheng was furious, but he was stopped by Mu Xiaoyue as soon as he spoke. Mu Xiaoyue took a healing elixir and cupped his fists at Yi Xing. Brother Yi Xing is right. I have always been unconvinced that you won first place in the Young Hero Assembly. It seems that I was indeed arrogant. Today, Brother Yi allowed me to clearly see the gap between us. It can be considered as a wake-up call for me. There are only benefits and no disadvantages. I have to say thank you to Brother Yi. You deserve to be first on the Earth Profound list. Yi Xing nodded. Besides being a little arrogant, Mu Xiaoyue had no other shortcomings. He was able to recognize his own shortcomings and was extraordinary. In the future, he would definitely have extraordinary achievements. Yi Xing said, Brother Mu, take care of yourself. Don't be limited to the true Xian domain. Our stage should be the East Divine Continent's Genius Assembly. At that time, I hope Brother Mu can take another step forward in his cultivation and strength and obtain a good ranking. Mu Xiaoyue nodded and said, I will. I will closely follow Brother Ye's footsteps. Brother Yi must also work hard. If you stop moving forward, you will be surpassed by me. Goodbye. Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng came quickly and left quickly. They left the Falling Star sect and soon disappeared from the vision of the martial artists. However, the shock caused by the battle between Yi Xing and Mu Xiaoyue was deeply imprinted in the hearts of the Falling Star sect's martial artists. Every martial artist took Yi Xing as a role model and a goal to pursue. They looked forward to the day when they could be as strong as Yi Xing. This seed of strength was deeply buried in the hearts of every Falling Star sect's martial artists. It was extremely important for their future martial path. As for Yi Xing, the battle with Mu Xiaoyue was just a small episode in his life. After Mu Xiaoyue left, Yi Xing returned to his normal routine. Every day, he cultivated the flame-destroying arrow art, comprehended the array knowledge left behind by Venerable Qing Yun, and cultivated the top-grade Falling Star art to consolidate his cultivation at the second level of the astral realm. Time flowed like water, day by day. 7 days after the battle with Mu Xiaoyue, Yi Xing's flame-destroying arrow art had successfully broken through to the Great Accomplishment realm. In terms of power, it was not inferior to the transformation realm of the Four Symbols arrow art. Because the flame-destroying arrow art was a fire attribute martial art, when combined with the flame astrology, its power was even stronger than the Four Symbols arrow art. Chapter 430. 10 more. Compared to the flame arrow art, it was much more difficult for Yi Xing to fully comprehend the knowledge left behind by Venerable Qing Yun. Yi Xing needed more time to become a level 3 array grandmaster. Time passed quickly, and 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Master Wu Yu arrived at the together with Xianxia, who had gone to deliver the letter, and Yang Gang, a disciple of the Tiangang sect. Wu Yu knew that the 7 Kill League assassins wanted to assassinate Yi Xing, so he came personally and brought Yang Gang, who had just broken through to the 4th stage of the astral realm. Greetings, Master. Yi Xing greeted Wu Yu first, then looked at Yang Gang and said, It's been 3 months since we last met, and Brother Yang has become a mid-level sage. Congratulations! Wu Yu smiled and nodded at Yixing. Yang was happy, but he also sighed and said, if it was in the past, a 4th stage astral realm cultivator would be able to sit at the top of the Earth Profound ranking, but now haha. I heard that Mu Xiaoyue had already become a 2-star sage before I became a 4-star sage. You even became a 2-star sage before Mu Xiaoyue. My strength definitely can't compare to the two of you. Being in the same generation as the two of you is too depressing. Yang added, you defeated Mu Xiaoyue when you were a 1-star sage. Now that you're both 2-star sage, I don't know who's stronger. Of course, if you use archery, you're definitely stronger. Yang did not know that Yixing and Mu Xiaoyue had already competed, but he knew that Yixing's archery skills had killed a 5 celestial enlightened being and 3-4 celestial enlightened beings from the 7-kill league. Even though it was a sneak attack, it still proved that Yixing's archery skills were extremely powerful and terrifying. Hearing this, Wu Mingyi chuckled and said, more than half a month ago, Mu Xiaoyue came to the Falling Star sect and sparred with little friend Yi. The difference in strength between the two of them was very large, and Mu Xiaoyue was seriously injured. Yang smiled faintly and said, I knew that Brother Yi was more powerful than me. How many moves did you use to defeat Mu Xiaoyue? Wu Mingyi said, Mu Xiaoyue attacked 3 times first, but little friend Yi didn't even take a step back. Little friend Yi counterattacked, and Mu Xiaoyue spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. He was severely injured. Wu Mingyi spoke casually, but whether it was Wu Yu, Yang, or Xianxia, all of them were shocked. Previously, they had heard from Wu Mingyi that the gap was huge, but they didn't know exactly how big it was. Now that Wu Mingyi had explained it in detail, they realized that the gap wasn't small. It was on a completely different level. Mu Xiaoyue was also a rare monstrous genius in the True Xian region. Unfortunately, he was completely suppressed by Yixing. Yang sighed and said, it seems that the saddest one isn't me, but Mu Xiaoyue. He's such a monstrous genius, rarely seen in the True Xian region. In the end, he's in the same generation as you and is completely suppressed. This is truly sad. Yixing shook his head and said, I don't think this is sad, but an honor. A flourishing age produces heroes. No matter if it's you or Mu Xiaoyue, in most eras, you would be ranked first on the Earth Xian list. Even Bai Cong and Meng Ji could be ranked first on the Earth Xian list, but this generation doesn't have them. This proves that our generation is in a flourishing age. Being born in a flourishing age is an honor in itself. Why bother with being ranked first? Although Mu Xiaoyue isn't ranked first on the Earth Xian list, his future achievements will be much greater than before. But I can be sure that his future achievements will far surpass the previous number 1 on the Earth Profound ranking. Since that's the case, is there any meaning in being number 1? Yang was stunned by Yixing's words. His eyes gradually glowed as he said, Brother Ye's view is different from the rest. It's enlightening. Yes, being born in a flourishing age is an honor in itself. Haha. Yixing smiled and changed the topic, asking, Brother Yang, why did you come to the Falling Star sect? Yang said, I came to find you. Let's go to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to train together. Yixing's expression was surprised. Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range? Yixing had heard of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. The corpse jade he auctioned off at the White Bones auction house was produced in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. It helped him consolidate his cultivation at the first stage of the astral realm. Yang said, Winter and spring have passed. The weather is warm and the air is warm. Every year during summer and autumn, the yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is the weakest. It's the best time to obtain corpse jades. It's very difficult to obtain corpse jades during winter and spring, but it's much easier during summer and autumn. Corpse jades are good items to increase one's cultivation. At the end of this year, the East Divine Continent's Junior Genius Assembly will be held. Compared to the juniors of the Two-Star Empire, our cultivation is at a disadvantage. If we can obtain a good corpse jade to increase our cultivation speed, we might be able to make up for the gap between us. At the same time, we won't lose too badly in the East Divine Continent's Junior Genius Assembly. Master Wu Yu said, Yixing, although your cultivation speed is fast, the corpse jade will make it even faster. Moreover, a cultivator needs to experience the world on their path of growth. It's taboo to cultivate in seclusion in the sect. You don't have to worry about me in the Falling Star sect. As he spoke, Master Wu Yu took out a leather mask and said, "Wear this mask and go to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range with Yang Gang. No matter how powerful the assassins of the Seven Kill League are, they won't be able to find the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range from the Falling Star sect for no reason." Yi Xing took the mask and said, "Okay, I originally planned to go out and experience the world. However, I didn't leave because I was worried about the Falling Star sect. Now that Master is here, I can rest assured." Yi Xing put on the mask. The mask stuck closely to his face, making it impossible to see his true appearance. At night, Yi Xing and Yang Gang left the Falling Star sect under the cover of the night. The two rode the silver-winged demonic eagle and went to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. Yi Xing and Yang Gang sat cross-legged on the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle. Yi Xing asked, "Brother Yang, have you been to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range?" Yang Gang nodded and said, "Yes. The Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is very vast. I heard that it's even bigger than the True Xian domain. I've only been to a very small area." Yi Xing was surprised and said, "Bigger than the True Xian domain? How can there be such a big mountain range?" Yang Gang smiled faintly and said, "The Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is not entirely a mountain. It is just a general name for a region. Because of the heavy yin qi, it is difficult for the living to survive there. However, if the corpses are buried there, they can absorb the yin qi and have the possibility of coming back to life. Therefore, the entire region is dominated by corpse martial artists. Therefore, it is called the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. It is a tomb for the living and a paradise for the dead." Corpse Dao martial artists. What are Corpse Dao martial artists? When Yi Xing heard the name, he vaguely understood the meaning and couldn't help but ask. Yang Gang said, "Corpse Dao martial artists are dead people who have come back to life and have regained consciousness. However, they don't have the memories of their previous life. Strictly speaking, they can't be counted as living dead. They rely on the yin qi of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to survive. Once they leave the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range and lose the nourishment of the yin qi, they will die and become corpses." Chapter 431. Living Dead. Yi Xing thought to himself, "Aren't they just zombies?" Thinking about the zombies on Earth, Yi Xing felt disgusted and said, "Where did corpse jades come from? Could it be something that was born in the body of a corpse martial artist? If it was something from a zombie's body, then it would be filthy." Yi Xing remembered that he had absorbed a corpse jade and felt uncomfortable in his heart. Yang Gang saw this and laughed. "You guessed wrong. How could a treasure like corpse jade be born in the body of a corpse martial artist? Corpse jades are naturally born in the world. Corpse martial artists absorb corpse jades to increase their cultivation. Corpse martial artists are not afraid of the death chi in corpse jades and can absorb it endlessly. Their cultivation is not limited by the heavens. As long as there are enough corpse jades, their cultivation can increase infinitely." Yi Xing let out a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. If it was something from a corpse martial artist's body, then it would be disgusting. The world is so big. Nothing is too strange. To be able to give birth to a treasure like corpse jade, it is really strange." Yang Gang nodded and said, "It is indeed so. As long as you can think of it, there is nothing you can't see. The reason why corpse jades are formed is that the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is an excellent feng shui place. It can absorb the power of the stars and gather it under the ground. Some of the feng shui places have even more star power and will condense into a solid form. The better the feng shui of the feng shui, the more star power can condense, and the higher the quality of the corpse jades." Yi Xing couldn't help but ask, "Since corpse jades are born under the ground, how do we find them?" Yang Gang smiled and said, "First, observe the terrain of the mountain. Only some of the feng shui places have corpse jades. Second, track corpse martial artists. Corpse martial artists can't cultivate on their own. Strictly speaking, corpse jades are treasures given to them by the heavens for cultivation. That's why they are called corpse jades. Corpse martial artists have a strong sense for corpse jades. As long as a corpse jade is formed, corpse martial artists in a large area will be able to sense it. Corpse Dao martial artists were afraid of sunlight and liked to live underground. They were natural experts at digging holes. Below the Sky Corpse Mountain Range, there were caves dug by corpse Dao martial artists everywhere, especially in the areas with corpse jade. There were even more underground caves that extended in all directions. Therefore, as long as we can determine the approximate location of the corpse jade, there's no need to worry about not being able to find it. The corpse Dao martial artists have already dug a tunnel and can directly reach the corpse jade. Yi Xing imagined the situation in the heavenly corpse mountains. Soon, he had a new reaction. Since corpse jades can improve the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists, wouldn't they have directly absorbed the corpse jades when they dug the cave next to the corpse jades? How could we, the martial artists who went later, have a chance to obtain them? Yang Gang carefully explained, corpse jades are divided into spirit level and profound level, and each level is further divided into low, middle, high, and extreme levels, which can be further divided into 12 levels. Among them, low-grade spirit level was effective for 1-star to 5-star martial saints. Mid-grade spirit level was effective for 5-star to 9-star martial saints. High-grade spirit level and top-grade spirit level were effective for 1-star to 5-star martial saints, and 5-star to 9-star martial saints, respectively. If you want to divide it more precisely, take spirit level high level for example, the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels are all spirit level high level. Among them, the 7th level corresponds to 1-star and 2-star martial saints. The 8th level corresponds to 3-star and 4-star martial saints, and the 9th level corresponds to 5-star martial saints. Only when the grade of the corpse jade corresponded to the cultivation level could the absorption effect be maximized. For example, a 5-stars enlightened master could only absorb corpse jades of the 9th grade or above of the spirit grade to have the greatest effect on cultivation. If they absorbed corpse jades of the 7th or 8th level, although they were also spirit level high level, the effect would be much worse. If they absorbed corpse jades of the 7th level and below, there would be no effect at all. Corpse Dao martial artists were the same. When their cultivation reached a certain level, the corpse jade they absorbed would have to be of a certain level, or else there would be no effect. However, when the corpse jade was just formed, it would be the lowest level, the first level of the spirit level. Then, it would need time to accumulate and condense more and more star power to gradually improve its quality. The final level of the corpse jade depends on the level of the Eye of the Storm. Once the corpse jade was formed, some corpse Dao martial artists would sense it. But corpse Dao martial artists already have a certain cultivation, and the level of the corpse jade is not enough to improve their cultivation. Think about it, what would the result be? Yi Xing immediately reacted and said, of course it would be to guard the corpse jade and let the quality of the corpse jade increase enough to improve their cultivation, and then absorb it. I understand, the quality of the corpse jade hasn't reached the requirement of corpse Dao martial artists. At this time, we normal martial artists can find it and take it, but... Yi Xing's tone changed as he said, since the quality of the corpse jade hasn't reached the requirement of corpse Dao martial artists, it means that the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists is higher than the corresponding cultivation of the corpse jade. If the corpse jade hasn't been absorbed by the corpse Dao martial artists when it reaches the 7th level of the spirit level, it means that the corpse Dao martial artists guarding the corpse jade are at least at the 3rd level of the Star Gang realm. If the corpse jade hasn't been absorbed when it reaches the 8th level of the spirit level, it means that the corpse Dao martial artists are at least at the 5th level of the Star Gang realm. In short, the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists is higher than the corresponding cultivation of corpse jade. Yi Xing paused and finally concluded, with our cultivation, we need to absorb the corpse jade of the upper level of the spirit level. The corpse Dao martial artists we have to deal with are at least at the 3rd level of the sage level, or even higher. This is a dangerous job. Yang Gang smiled and said, with our strength, we can only get the corpse jade of the 7th level of the spirit level at most, and the guarding corpse Dao martial artists must be at least at the 3rd or 4th level of the sage level. If they are above the 5th level of the sage level, then we can't eat them. Corpse Dao martial artists are different from us normal martial artists. Their bodies are very strong, like copper skin and iron bones, but they are less flexible. So once we meet a corpse Dao martial artist that we can't deal with, it's no problem to escape. Along the way, Yang Gang explained in detail how to find corpse jades and how to deal with corpse Dao martial artists. He also talked about the origin of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. According to legend, the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was a big battlefield in the ancient times. There was a large-scale war here, and countless martial artists died. Corpses were everywhere, piled up into mountains, and blood flowed like rivers. Because of the countless martial artists who died here, the blood dyed the ground red, and the death aura emitted by the countless corpses shrouded the whole area. Since then, this large area became a forbidden area for the living. Ordinary martial artists couldn't survive here. With the birth of corpse jades, the corpses in this area came back to life and became the living dead. Thus, the name Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was born, and it became a paradise for the dead. The silver-winged demonic condor flew for half a month and entered the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range from the north of the True Xian domain. After another 3 days, the two arrived at a city in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range, Wu City. Every year during winter and spring, the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was full of yin qi, and the death aura shrouded the whole area. Even the border of the mountain range was not easy to enter. At that time, the Wu City was also shrouded by the death aura, and no martial artists came. However, during summer and autumn, the yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range weakened, and the yin qi in the border area dissipated. A large number of martial artists would enter the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to search for corpse jades. When there were many martial artists, there would naturally be exchanges. The Wu City was one of the exchange points for martial artists in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. After years of development, the Wu City gradually developed into a city. Every year, there would only be people in the city during the summer and autumn. The yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is heavy. If you go deep, you won't be able to stay for long. However, the purple sun pill can dissolve the yin qi. Therefore, the purple sun pill is an essential item in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. This kind of pill has no use in normal times, and is only needed in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. Therefore, only the exchange points in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range have the purple sun pill for sale. Yang Gang explained to Yi Xing the necessity of coming to the Wu City. After entering the Wu City, Yi Xing found that the martial artists coming and going were at least astral realm enlightened masters. Moreover, most of them were mid-level enlightened masters. As for exalted masters, they were the least in number. Yi Xing only saw one. Enlightened masters used the astral realm to seal their veins, and their aura wouldn't leak out. Therefore, outsiders couldn't see their cultivation base. However, Yi Xing's superbrain scan allowed him to see through everyone's cultivation base. While walking, Yang Gang explained, the area around the Wu City produces mostly upper spirit level corpse jades. Therefore, those who come here are mostly mid-level enlightened masters. You see, none of the low-level enlightened masters are walking alone. They are all teaming up with mid-level enlightened masters. Yi Xing looked around and found that it was true. Although the Wu City wasn't big, the number of enlightened masters that Yi Xing saw was in the hundreds, and this was only a small part of the total. The total number of enlightened masters in the city might be several thousand. Moreover, this was only the enlightened masters that were in the Wu City today. Some of them had already entered the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range, while others were still coming. Yi Xing estimated that there might be tens of thousands of enlightened masters coming and going in this small Wu City, or even more. There weren't that many enlightened masters in the entire True Xian domain. The enlightened masters coming and going in the Wu City didn't only come from the True Xian domain, but also from other regions. After walking out of the True Xian domain, Yi Xing immediately felt that the world had become much bigger. Although there were many enlightened masters in the Nine Heaven City, most of them were martial saints. Enlightened masters were relatively superior existences. However, in the Wu City, the enlightened masters that came and went were all astral realm enlightened masters. Enlightened masters were just like ordinary martial artists. They were everywhere. Yang Gang said, a purple sun pill can normally keep one's body from being corroded by yin qi for 3 days. If it's in an area with heavy yin qi, the duration will be shorter. Aside from the purple sun pill, you must also have plenty of detoxification spiritual pills and healing spiritual pills. It's very common to be injured by corpse Dao martial artists in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. Corpse Dao martial artists use their bodies as weapons. They have corpse poison in their bodies. If they don't have detoxification spiritual pills, they will be assimilated into corpse Dao martial artists and become living dead. Detoxification spiritual pills and healing spiritual pills are essential. Chapter 432. Yang Gang brought Yi Xing to an elixir store called Soaring Dragon Pavilion. Yang Gang said, Wu City is closer to the Azure Dragon Empire. Most of the businesses in Wu City belong to the Azure Dragon Empire. This Soaring Dragon Pavilion is the same. Yi Xing nodded and entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion with Yang Gang. Beside the True Xian domain, there are two upper domains, the Qingyu domain and the Azure Dragon domain. The two upper domains are ruled by the Qingyu Empire and the Azure Dragon Empire respectively. They are both two-star powers. In fact, Wu City is closer to the True Xian domain than the Azure Dragon domain. However, there is no power in the True Xian domain that has the strength to control Wu City. Those who have the strength to control Wu City are at least two-star powers. Among the two-star powers, the Azure Dragon Empire is the closest. Naturally, most of the businesses in Wu City belong to the Azure Dragon Empire. Although Wu City only has people in summer and autumn every year, it can bring a large amount of income to the Azure Dragon Empire every year. The income of Wu City's businesses is higher than any of the 9 upper sects of the True Xian domain. From this, one can see the difference between a 1-star power and a 2-star power. Wu City is only a small part of the Azure Dragon Empire's businesses. However, it can defeat all the 1-star sections. What do the two of you need? As soon as Yi Xing and Yang Gang entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, a cultivator came to greet them. This is an 8-star martial saint with a noble cultivation. In Wu City, only the staff of these shops are not real people, but they are at least nobles. Yang Gang said, Purple Sun Pills, mid and high-grade spiritual level detoxification spiritual pills, healing spiritual pills. The 8-star martial saint immediately beamed with joy. The customers who enter the Heavenly Corpse mountain range buy a lot of elixirs. This kind of business is the most profitable. The 8-star martial saint said, Purple Sun Pills are 2,000 star crystals each. Mid-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills are 20,000 star crystals each. High-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills are 200,000 star crystals each. Yang Gang said to Yi Xing, in order to avoid any accidents, prepare as many elixirs as possible. Then he said to the cultivator, I want 30 purple sun pills, 10 mid-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills, and 2 high-grade spiritual level pills. The total value of these pills was 1.4 million star crystals, which was equivalent to 14,000 mid-grade star crystals. If one person bought the elixir, it would cost 14,000 mid-grade star crystals. If 1,000 people bought the elixir, it would cost 14 million mid-grade star crystals. Although this included the cost, even if the profit was only 20 to 30%, the Soaring Dragon Pavilion would still earn a huge amount of star crystals every year. It was much better than a middle-grade star crystal vein. The Falling Star sect had dug out a mid-rank star crystal lode and was considered quite wealthy among 1-star sects, but compared to a 2-star sect, it was as poor as dregs. The wealth of a 2-star empire was unimaginable. The receptionist looked at Yi Xing. Yi Xing said, Anyway, I'll be able to use it in the future. Give me double the price. Yang Gang knew that the Falling Star sect had dug out a low-rank star crystal lode and that Yi Xing had a lot of star crystals on him. He was very rich, so he wasn't surprised by Yi Xing's purchasing power. However, what he didn't know was that the Falling Star sect had also dug out a mid-rank star crystal lode. Yi Xing's wealth was much higher than he had imagined. The total value of the elixir that Yang Gang bought was 1.4 million star crystals. If Yi Xing doubled the price, it would be 2.8 million star crystals. The two of them added up to 4.2 million star crystals. This was a huge business deal. The receptionist immediately beamed with joy and led Yi Xing and Yang Gang to the VIP area. Soon, the Soaring Dragon Pavilion delivered the elixir, and Yi Xing and Yang Gang paid the star crystals. The two of them walked outside. Before they reached the door, they saw the guards on both sides of the door suddenly kneel down on one knee. They lowered their heads and said in unison, Greetings, 9th Prince! Immediately after, a young man wearing a black robe with dragon patterns walked in from outside. Beside him was a black-clothed woman. There were also a few mid-level perfected persons following behind them. Inside the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, the cultivators all moved to the sides. The 9th Prince of the Azure Dragon Empire was an incredible figure. Yi Xing was also pulled to the side by Yang Gang. The Azure Dragon Empire ruled the entire Azure Dragon region. It was the imperial power of the family clans. The status of a prince was much higher than that of a sect's godson or young sect master. Even if this was only the 9th prince, his status in the Azure Dragon Empire was not below that of a high-level astral realm cultivator. Furthermore, the ninth prince was the ninth son of the Azure Dragon Empire's emperor, not his status. Yang Gang was more knowledgeable than Yi Xing. He knew that the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire was a 9-star yellow fate. He was extremely outstanding among the princes and was highly valued by the Azure Dragon Empire's emperor. His status was very high, and he was ranked in the top 3 among the princes. Yi Xing watched as the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire walked into the Soaring Dragon Pavilion. His gaze then fell on the black-clothed woman who was half a step behind the ninth prince. The woman in black was wearing tight black clothes with a few black spiders embroidered on it. Her figure was very hot, and the exquisite curves of her body were perfectly outlined. Especially the clothes covering her towering breasts, which had a vertical crack about the length of a palm. Her towering breasts stretched out the crack, revealing 2 snow-white hemispheres. Yi Xing was surprised. This black-clothed woman was actually the Earth Fiend Sect's Black Widow. Yang Gang was also very surprised. His gaze froze. How did the Black Widow get together with the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire? Yi Xing and Yang Gang were puzzled, but the actual situation was very simple. The Black Widow and 2 other Astral Realm disciples of the Earth Fiend sect were brought by a 4-star enlightened master to the Sky Corpse mountain range to gain experience. They coincidentally met the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire in Wu City. Everyone had their own preferences. The Black Widow was an extremely coquettish woman, so naturally, there were people who admired her. The ninth prince took a liking to the Black Widow at first glance. His interest in women was very similar to Yi Wenxie's. They both liked extremely beautiful and coquettish women. The Black Widow's coquettish aura overflowed from her words and expression. She had won the ninth prince's favor. As for the ninth prince's identity, he was a prince of the Azure Dragon Empire. He directly reported his identity, and the Black Widow happily left with the ninth prince. The Earth Fiend Sect's elder also happily gave the Black Widow to the ninth prince. The Earth Fiend Sect was only a second-rate power in the True Xian region. Unexpectedly, they were able to receive the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire. This made the Earth Fiend Sect's cultivators extremely happy. The Black Widow was only half a step behind the ninth prince. She had a smile on her face and her eyes were filled with love. The joy in her heart was clearly visible on her face. When she entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, her gaze immediately swept across the cultivators inside. When she saw Yang Gang, a familiar face from the True Xian region, she raised her head like a proud peacock. As for Yi Xing, he was wearing a mask and his appearance had changed. She did not notice it. The ninth prince's group passed through the first floor of the pavilion and directly went to the second floor. Only after the ninth prince went upstairs did the cultivators on the first floor begin to move. As expected of the Azure Dragon Empire's prince. He is indeed handsome and talented. He is already a 5-star sage at such a young age. His future is truly limitless. Immediately, many cultivators in the Soaring Dragon Pavilion began to discuss. Those who dared to discuss the Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince in the Soaring Dragon Pavilion were naturally praises. Yi Xing and Yang Gang exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with astonishment as they continued to walk out. After leaving the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, Yang Gang said in astonishment, "The world is truly filled with all sorts of strange things." The Black Widow was actually able to walk together with the Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince. How strange. Yi Xing smiled faintly and said, "Everyone has their own preferences. This ninth prince might like someone like the Black Widow. It is not strange for the two of them to walk together. However, this ninth prince seems to be younger than Brother Yang. Yet, he is already a 5-star sage. The princes of the Empire are indeed extraordinary." Yang Gang introduced, "The Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince is surnamed Long and given name Xiao. His heavenly fate is as high as the 9 stars yellow fate. He became a 5-star sage at the age of 22. He is extremely outstanding among the many princes of the Azure Dragon Empire. His position is very high." Yang Gang let out a sigh and continued, "Sigh. 9 stars yellow fate. Regardless of heavenly fate or origin, the princes of the Empire can't be compared to him. The Azure Dragon Empire is rich in resources. He can easily cultivate to the 9-star sage realm and become a half-step venerable. If he has a great opportunity, he might even break through the astral reaching realm and become a venerable. His future is bright." Yixing didn't say anything. Some people were born ordinary, while others were born into the limelight. No one could say for sure. Yang Gang felt that Long Xiao's origin was good. He felt that he couldn't compare with Long Xiao. However, compared to the majority of the martial artists in the Truxian region, Yang Gang was already in existence, envied by thousands of martial artists. There were countless martial artists who struggled their whole lives but couldn't even reach Yang Gang's feet. Regardless of the world, life was cruel. Fate was like shackles that locked all living things. Only an extremely small number of people could defy the heavens and change their fate and break through the shackles of fate. Yixing was one of them. Although his origin couldn't be compared with Long Xiao's, and even with Yang Gang's, he never envied other people's origin. What Yixing needed to do was to work hard and cultivate diligently. Step by step, he would reach the peak of martial Dao. No matter what the other person's origin was, he would surpass them. The two didn't stay in Wu City. After buying the pills, they directly left Wu City and entered the Sky Corpse mountain range to search for corpse jades. Every year, there would be a huge number of martial artists entering the Sky Corpse mountain range. The corpse jades near Wu City had already been found by martial artists. Only by entering the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range could one hope to find corpse jades. The silver-winged demonic eagle could travel 100,000 li per day. After leaving Wu City, they flew for 3 days into the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range. Only then did Yixing and Yang Gang stop their journey and start searching for corpse jades. The deeper one went into the Sky Corpse mountain range, the higher the chance of encountering corpse jades. However, it was also easy to encounter corpse jades of high quality and encounter terrifying corpse Dao martial artists. Therefore, after traveling 100,000 li from Wu City, the two stopped to avoid encountering difficult dangers. Chapter 433. Ad 11. In the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range. Underground. Bang. A first-level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist was sent flying by Yixing's punch, crashing heavily into the cave wall. A huge hole appeared in the cave wall, and a large part of it collapsed. The corpse Dao martial artist was buried by countless rocks. Boom. Just when Yixing thought that the corpse path martial artist was dead, there was a loud explosion and a large number of rocks shot towards him. The corpse Dao martial artist rushed out from the pile of rocks again. The corpse Dao martial artist's face was pale, and his clothes were tattered. His exposed skin emitted a dim light. Yixing's punch earlier had already broken one of his arms and caused cracks to appear on his body. However, he was still as lively as a dragon or a tiger. Whoosh! A sword light flashed, and the corpse Dao martial artist's head flew up. Yang Gang put away the upper-grade spiritual weapon in his hand and said, "Not only are corpse Dao martial artists strong, but they are also living dead. They can move no matter how heavily injured they are, but their bodies are still controlled by their consciousness. You can kill them by cutting off their heads or destroying their minds." Yixing glanced at the sword in Yang Gang's hand and said, "I didn't expect your sword skills to be so powerful." Yang Gang smiled faintly and said, "Every martial artist doesn't just practice one set of martial arts. They always have something up their sleeves." In other words, Yang Gang's sword skills were not inferior to palm skills, and might even be better. Yixing nodded in agreement. His gaze shifted to a corpse jade on the stone wall at the end of the hall and said, "It took us 3 days to find the first corpse jade. Unfortunately, it's only a 6th grade spiritual grade jade, and it has no effect on our cultivation." A 6th grade spiritual grade jade was a middle grade spiritual grade jade, corresponding to the 5th level to the 9th level astral vortex realm. It was an excellent treasure for a 9-star martial saint. However, Yixing and Yang Gang were both astral realm sages, and they needed a high-grade spiritual grade jade. Yang Gang said, "The price of a 6th grade spirit grade corpse jade is also not cheap. It can be exchanged for tens of thousands of star crystals. We can earn back some of the pill money." Yang Gang stepped forward and took the 6th rank spirit grade corpse jade, saying, "Let's continue to search. Corpse jades are usually gathered in the caves of Feng Shui treasured lands. If we can find the first corpse jade, we may find the second one." On the 4th day, the two of them found another corpse jade, but it was only a 5th grade spiritual grade. The corpse martial artist guarding it was still at the 1st level of the astral realm, so the two of them easily killed him. Although this area was famous for producing high-grade spirit-level corpse jades, most of them were middle-grade spirit-level corpse jades. Just like the area that produced top-grade spirit-level corpse jades, most of them were high-grade spirit-level corpse jades. However, this area had good feng shui. Most of the corpse jades could be upgraded to spiritual high-grade by absorbing the power of stars. Therefore, the corpse martial artists guarding the area were basically at Astral Gang realm. Another 2 days passed. On the 6th day, the two of them found another corpse jade. It was of the 6th rank of the spirit grade, still of the middle rank of the spirit grade. However, the corpse Dao martial artist guarding the corpse jade was at the 3rd level of the astral realm. Whoosh, with a flash of sword light, Yang Gang's sword cut through the corpse Dao martial artist's neck. In an instant, sparks flew. When the high-grade spirit weapon sword collided with the corpse Dao martial artist's neck, the sound of metal clashing rang out. When the sparks disappeared, the corpse Dao martial artist's eyes were filled with ferocity. With a roar, he crossed his arms and pounced at Yang Gang like lightning. The last 2 times, Yang Gang had beheaded the 1st level of the astral realm corpse Dao martial artist with a single strike. But this time, Yang Gang's sword only cut through a 3rd of the corpse Dao martial artist's neck. Corpse Dao martial artists had sturdy bodies. The higher their cultivation, the stronger their bodies would be. The 3rd level of the astral realm was much stronger than the 1st level of the astral realm. Die! As the corpse Dao martial artist pounced at Yang Gang, Yi Xing coldly shouted. He raised the black dragon spear in his hand and thrust it forward. Dark spear light burst out. Dark spirit spear art. Spiritual flash. The spear light arrived. The spear tip arrived. The dark spirit spear instantly pierced through the corpse Dao martial artist's forehead. Yi Xing's spear had a great penetrating power. Most of the spear tip sank into the corpse Dao martial artist's head and the spear tip came out from the back. The corpse Dao martial artist's head was instantly pierced to pieces. The corpse Dao martial artist died. The black dragon spear shook and instantly withdrew. The corpse Dao martial artist fell to the ground, dead. Yi Xing said, "What a sturdy body. In terms of strength, it's even better than mine. If it was a 4th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, I might not have been able to kill him." Yang Gang took the 6th grade spirit level corpse jade and said, "Fortunately, we can even kill a 4th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist. If it was a 5th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, we wouldn't have been able to kill him." Yi Xing said, "We have 2 people. One of us can attack the corpse Dao martial artist and draw him away for a while. The other can take advantage of this to seize the corpse jade. Even if it was a 5th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, we still have a chance of obtaining a corpse jade." In 6 days, they had obtained 3 corpse jades. This was quite good, but unfortunately, they were all medium-grade spirit level. But the 2 of them hadn't encountered any danger and had easily obtained 3 corpse jades. In terms of safety, this was quite good. For the next 3 days, the 2 of them still hadn't found any corpse jades. On the 10th day, the 2 of them found an 8th grade spirit level corpse jade. The corpse jade star power fluctuations were strong. As long as one approached a certain range, they would be able to sense its grade. An 8th grade spirit level corpse jade had a great effect on their cultivation. The 2 of them were overjoyed. An 8th grade spirit level corpse jade corresponded to a 3-star or 4-star sage. Since the corpse Dao martial artist hadn't absorbed the corpse jade, it could be seen that the corpse Dao martial artist's cultivation was at least 5th level astral realm. The corners of Yi Xing and Yang Gang's lips curled up. They were in a good mood. If it was a 5th or 6th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, one of them could draw him away while the other took the corpse jade. However, when the 2 of them arrived at the cavern where the corpse jade was, their expressions changed greatly. The corpse Dao martial artist guarding the corpse jade was actually at 7th level astral realm. 7th level astral realm was the peak of corpse Dao martial artists. When the corpse Dao martial artist's aura erupted, Yi Xing and Yang Gang's hearts trembled. "Retreat!" The 2 of them shouted at the same time. The moment the corpse Dao martial artist's aura erupted, they quickly retreated. In terms of speed, Yi Xing was faster than Yang Gang, so he retreated even faster. Whoosh! The corpse Dao martial artist took a step forward and stepped out of the cavern. His speed was even faster than Yi Xing's, and he caught up with Yang Gang in the blink of an eye. The corpse Dao martial artist opened his 5 fingers. His 5 black fingernails were like 5 sharp blades that exploded with astral light. The claw pressed down and clawed at Yonggang's head. Yonggang was horrified. He put away the upper-grade spiritual weapon in his hand and raised his palms to the sky. Big Dipper Palm. Astral Suppression. A dazzling astral light chi shield immediately enveloped Yonggang. In terms of attack power, Yonggang's sword technique was better than his palm technique. In terms of defense, this move, astral suppression, had reached the pinnacle. With the astral light chi shield covering his entire body, ordinary attacks were almost impenetrable. However, the claw of the corpse Dao martial artist wasn't an ordinary attack. It was equivalent to the full-strength attack of a 7th-level astral realm master. The claw clawed at the astral light chi shield, and the sturdy astral light chi shield was broken like tofu. The 5 black fingernails were like sharp blades and instantly clawed at Yonggang. Fortunately, Yonggang knew that he couldn't block this move. As he blocked, he tilted his head and dodged to the side. The claw of the corpse Dao martial artist didn't hit Yonggang's head, but the claw deeply grasped Yonggang's shoulder. Yonggang instantly let out a scream. He couldn't move as the corpse Dao martial artist clasped his hand. The difference in strength between them was too great. Yonggang couldn't even block one move. The corpse Dao martial artist clasped Yonggang's shoulder with one hand and chuckled. His other hand clawed at Yonggang's head again. Yonggang's eyes were instantly filled with despair. At this moment, the sex experts weren't by his side. There was only Yi Xing by his side, and his opponent was a corpse Dao martial artist who was equivalent to a 7th-level astral realm. Who could save him? Yonggang closed his eyes, thinking that he was going to die. At the same time he roared, "Run!" Just as Yonggang roared, he immediately sensed another terrifying power pouncing toward him, causing him to be startled. Sun Flame Spear Art. Chasing the Sun. Yi Xing used the fire astral form and erupted his strength to the limit. He attacked with his spear. This spear was even faster than lightning. In an instant, it had arrived in front of the corpse Dao martial artist, which was beyond his expectations. Clang, with a loud explosion, the spear tip pierced the corpse Dao martial artist's body. There was a loud sound of metal clashing, and sparks flew. Such a terrifying spear didn't cause much damage to the corpse Dao martial artist. It only left a shallow mark. A 7th-level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist's body was almost as sturdy as a high-grade spiritual weapon. Although the spear tip didn't penetrate the corpse Dao martial artist's body, the power of Yi Xing's spear was terrifying. The corpse Dao martial artist couldn't bear the force of the spear and immediately retreated a few steps. As the corpse Dao martial artist retreated, he stared fiercely at Yi Xing. The claw that was originally going for Yonggang's head was immediately swung at Yi Xing. The 5 fingernails slashed out 5 streaks of black astral light that instantly flashed across Yi Xing's body, leaving behind 5 claw marks. Yi Xing felt a heart-wrenching pain. At this moment, Yi Xing didn't have time to think. Taking advantage of the corpse Dao martial artist's retreat, he grabbed Yonggang. The azure cloud wings appeared on his back, and he quickly escaped like a ray of light. Boom! There was an explosion behind him. The corpse Dao martial artist had caught up and clawed a huge hole in the cave wall. If Yi Xing was half a beat slower, he would have been caught by the claw. Both he and Yonggang would have been slammed into the cave wall and died. Flapping the azure cloud wings, Yi Xing pushed his speed to the limit and shuttled through the cave. The corpse Dao martial artist chased for a while but couldn't catch up in the end. He was worried that the corpse jade would be stolen, so he could only let out an unwilling roar and give up the chase. Yi Xing ran for a while and only stopped when he was sure that the corpse Dao martial artist wasn't chasing after him. The 5 claw marks on his chest were already rotten and emitted a foul smell. Yi Xing immediately took a high-grade spiritual level detoxification spirit pill and a mid-grade spiritual level healing spirit pill. He looked at Yonggang. Yonggang was poisoned more deeply than him. His body was already black. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.